Alright, hello. So, I thought I'd restart the career build series for 2025. I don't know how often I'll be able to play, but go ahead and start a new save here. We'll go from the beginning. We'll start at the normal starter base here. I prefer North my Outpost, but again, part of the career build series is kind of showing new players how you can kind of start fresh and get everything to work. So we're going to start out really simply here. How's it going, X-Horus? Good to see you. So let's go back exactly where I was. So new game, put in the world seed. If you have one in mind, put that in. This is the one I usually use. I want career game. I'm going to go to the normal starter base. And then this is the one that a lot of people forget to do, and then they complain endlessly that they have problems. These buttons mean something. Click on them. They don't self-destruct your computer. You click on the button, and oh my god, it shows you some options. So let's click on some buttons here. These are all your options. All right, so if you click on that, that's AI paths, right? And then if it has a cog on it, and you click on it, it gives you more options. So here, doesn't give you any options, cog, options. So you can also do your own saved add-ons and your own workshop add-ons. First thing I do is I go toggle them all off. And then I want to go through one by one. AI paths I want on. Default AI aircraft. If you have a potato, you can drag this down. If you don't have a potato, you can drag it up. Default AI I want on. Same thing. Options on that. Default building missions. Cargo missions. I don't know if I want these cargo missions. We'll leave them on. That's fine. Default creatures and how many creatures. Default delivery zones, dock ballers. Elevators I always leave off. Somebody on Reddit had a question about, hey, the elevator's missing. And the question I asked was, is it selected? Fish survey, we'll be doing sufficient, so that's on. Forest fire missions, yes. Default landmarks, default mission locations, and then you click on it. Click on the cogs. I don't like natural disaster missions. I shut them off. Oil spill missions, we have the ability to clear them now, so I'm going to leave that on. That's fine. Mission-based timer and frequency, you can play with that if you want. I'm going to leave them alone. Default transport locations on. Arctic zone missions, arid missions, main missions, no moon missions. I'm not going to do any moon stuff. Default missions underwater, yes. Default natural disasters, nope. I don't like natural disasters. I leave it off. You don't have to disable enable sirens, but again, you see this is a complaint a lot of brand new players have is, oh my god, I get a tsunami every 20 seconds. How am I supposed to play? You're supposed to click on the options and then set the frequency. So that's 15 minutes, you'll get a tsunami every 15 minutes. If you go to that, it's every hour. If you leave it off, you don't get any. So I want oil survey, railroad signals, default resource storage. So there we go. Let me make sure that, let me just go through them again. Tutorial is off. Default elevators, I want off. Default mission zones, moon, natural disaster trading, default tutorials off. Weapons AI, I don't want to be attacked, so that's off. I don't want zombies, that's off. Alright, so you don't have to do those checkboxes if you have it off, I just do it as a precaution. But go through and make sure the options you want are there, or else you're going to end up with things that you don't want in there. That's fine, we can leave these all checked. Alright, good. So let's go ahead and start the world. So if you watch my new player career builds, or my new player series, that's the first thing I do in the first episode is I go through the options. It's amazing how on a daily basis you get people in Reddit. They don't go to the options. You see this with a lot of different games, a lot of different people. They never click on the options, and then they complain that something's not the way they want it. Perhaps if you went to options, you'd be able to find that option. Maybe it's not in there, but oftentimes it is. Oh, that's cool, yeah. Yeah, I would love them to do some palletized cargo and proper logistics. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. Alright, we're loading in here. You'll see a lot of people complain that, oh my god, I get stuck at 90. It takes forever. You ask them how long forever is. They're like, oh, it's a couple minutes. Generally speaking, this doesn't take that long. The first time you do it, it will take longer than other times. I'm thinking what it's actually loading in is the actual vehicles. So give it a minute to do that. And there it is, 100%. We'll go ahead and quickly, that's fine for character. I'm not going to fart around too much. Alright, so the next thing I do here is I make a save. So this is Career Build Series 2025 template. Alright, and I like to put the date too, so what is it, 6/14. Alright, now I'm going to save this. Alright, and then I'm going to save a backup. See a lot of people, oh my god, my save is corrupted. If you save backups, you don't get that problem. Alright, good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and if you look here, I have a custom world. Alright, my custom save, it has the custom menu. If you look here, you have the add-on editor, the custom menu. You can't select them. Well, I want to be able to do the custom menu for a number of reasons. If I get stuck in the wall, I can quickly no-clip all that stuff. So what we're going to do here is I already have a custom game. Let's again look at what it's called. Custom 6/3/25. All right, good. So I'm going to go to where the save is for my game. All right, Steam, app data, all that, roaming, stormworks. So mine's Captain Cockle's app data, roaming, stormworks. I'm going to go to saves. All right, so here, I'll show you my display. All right, so there we go. We've got, stand by. I don't want everybody seeing that necessarily. Got all my saves here. I'll bring it up once I get a save open. All right, so I just have the one I just did. Career, let's see where it is. I'll find it. 6, let's say 14, 6/14, 6/14/25 backup right there. All right, so I'm not going to touch the template. If I go into the scene, all right, we'll bring it up now. All right, if we go into the scene here, this is the scene for the one that we literally just made. So I'm going to just delete everything off so I don't have a ton of stuff. No. Try to delete some of the stuff off here. Oh, Christ. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. So we got scene right there. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to open up the that custom game, because what I'm going to do is grab the custom menu off of that. So I'm going to find that custom game. It is custom 6/3/25. Let's see, custom 6/3/25. All right, I'm going to open the scene from that. So now I've got both scene files open. So if we look right here, we have the creative menu equals true. I have a video on this as well. Control-C that. Comes in, and then if we look where it's at here, it's under game mode settings. So we're going to go back to the save we just started under game mode settings, right? We can put that in. Control-V, space, save that file. Now that backup, it's the one called backup, is saved with the custom menu. So if you want to add that custom menu, you can do that. All right. And so one thing that's really cool is you used to have to wait to do this stuff. Now, games these days, it pops right up. So we can go back in and we can load the game here. And we'll see if we have that custom menu enabled. This is going to give us a lot of options. If we, usually if the game causes some problems or we get frustrated, or say we forget to put a fire extinguisher on our boat and we just spent 20 minutes going and doing something, and now, it's going to ruin our fun because we didn't have that fire extinguisher. We can no-clip back, grab a fire extinguisher, no-clip back, and our fun is preserved. So there it is, custom menu, as easy as that. So now we have the custom menu. Somebody asked this today on Reddit. Why are the missions spawning so far away? By the time I get to them, they're gone. If you have no clip selected, it's going to get rid of the maximum distance for the missions. Now, the longer you progress, the missions can be further away. But when you first start out, the missions should literally be within visual range. So you just click, make sure no clip is not selected. I'm going to go through all the stuff here. I'll make sure everything's where I want it. All right, good. That's all good. Let's check our map here. We have our map. Here we are, custom island. All right. So no clip is no longer selected there. All right. New players are often like, oh, the weather's too bad. My boat keeps rolling over. There's nothing that says you have to complete the mission. if you jump in a bed and sleep, it will advance time, and then you'll be able to get a mission. So let's actually go do that real quick. We'll jump in a bed. We'll sleep for a little bit. We'll get a mission to populate that's closer. Again, if you have the no clip not selected, the mission should be pretty close. The mission that just popped up, that transport, it could either be because I had just selected it or not. So let's go to bed, sleep. It advances time. As you can see, the days are just rolling by. And this will get you some missions. There we go. New mission. It stops it when the new missions come in. So you can just sleep in bed till that. Now let's look right there. So as long as no clip's not selected, you should have some pretty close missions here. This was the one that happened when the mission was not close. All right. So blue recreational boat has an emergency. Search the area and locate the emergency. The vessel has activated its transponder. Use a transponder locator to hone in the signal. Now you don't have to. And repair rain sensor. You don't have to use that locator. It's if you want to. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. These first couple missions here, if we look around here, let's put a waypoint on there. So there's a waypoint. So we're right here. That's the waypoint. Right. When you first start out, this seems like a huge insurmountable distance. If we put on 3D waypoints, all right, that is 3.5 kilometers away. That's it. All right, and if we go ahead and we were to, we should be able to see that from our base here if the fog wasn't so thick. All right, so you can see that's not that far away. That's the furthest it could be away from us, right? That's right on the edge. So likely it's somewhere even closer. So let's say it was just that far. That's 2.4 kilometers. So they should be really, really close when you first start if you don't have that no clip selected. Let's try not to break ourselves getting off the roof here. All right. So let's start out by building a boat. Now, you can build it in here if you want. The problem is you're going to want to do a bunch of testing. Every time you do testing, you're going to lose some fuel to the lines and everything else. So what I'll do now is, now that I've got the custom menu in there, I'm going to save it. I'll do that. So now we have a new save that's all set to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my custom game. All right, when you make a custom game, it has all the options selected so that you have unlimited money, unlimited funds, and you can put on unlimited fuel. You can put on all this other stuff. I could do it in the game there. I could click off resource use and everything else. I tend to tell people, go to your custom game, build there, because, like, say it takes me 20 minutes to build this boat and 20 minutes to test the boat. It's going to, it's going to waste a bunch of time, and you might not be able to actually get that mission accomplished. How's it going there, Rebecca Hollis? How are you? Yeah, I'm talking here. So, I see your chats. Okay. All right, so now we're in a custom game. All right, so let's actually just go to the beginner base here from the custom game, just so that we get some continuity. So now there's no consequences here. I can stop time to make sure I do all my testing during the day if I want. I can shut off all the wind and everything else. I can test in the worst wind conditions. I can have all my cheat options on here. And so let's go ahead and build in here to be able to get a boat built and tested that we can go out and do that first mission. So because we saved it, that's now locked in there. All right, and so we have that first mission. We know what our mission's going to be, and now we're going to go to our test world, and we're actually going to be able to spend as much time as we want engineering and building this boat. And then because we have the save, we can always go back and we can, we can always go back and we can do that mission as many times as we want. So say we build a boat and can't get the mission accomplished because of X, Y, Z. It's not fuel efficient. It's not big enough for the waves. We can go and we can rebuild, and you can do that to get better. All right, so start just building a pretty simple boat here. Let's do a measure on it. I like to make them odd numbers, so that's 27. That's good. Let's see. So 14 right there is the center. All right, so here's the center point right there. And let's go ahead and do some symmetry there. All right, let's go ahead and we're just going to build a real simple boat here, and we'll get moving. So, build a real simple hull, and once we get this kind of going, we'll go try to do this rescue. Now, as far as one thing that, if you look at some realistic engineering in the game, no, I'm not interested in suggestions, thanks. If you look at some realistic things in game, that's going to help a lot. So, for example, if you look to length to beam ratios, generally a 1 to 3 length to beam ratio is pretty good. That tends to be what I stick with. If you make your boat too skinny, it's going to be unstable. I have a bunch of tutorials on how to make boats inherently stable. Go ahead and check those out. Right, and so we're just going to generally shape this out. We're going to make our first quick hull. When you're first starting especially, the boat doesn't need to last you a long time. It really doesn't. Especially when you're first starting out, you're going to be making a lot of throwaway designs. They're not going to last you long. You're going to quickly get better, and you want to just kind of build a couple boats you can use, and then you're going to throw them away, and you're going to build something better. So don't spend too much time on them. Don't put too many features. You're just trying to kind of learn the game in the beginning. That's where a lot of people, I think, fall down, is they try to make these vessels that have every feature, and then you don't want to get rid of them at the end. And it's you're going to have a lot of iteration. You're going to have a lot of just throwing away vehicles as the next iteration becomes much better. All right, there we go. All right, so we're just going to put together a quick hull. Not going to go into too many of the details. You can watch my the latest tutorials I put out was on hull stability and, kind of building a beginner hull. Oh, cut you there. Okay, good. And the first things you start to build are not going to be all that pretty, so you don't want to worry too much about making them pretty. Functionality is key. It takes a lot of practice to get things to look pretty in game. I wouldn't worry about that too early on. The main thing you want to do is get something that's functional. All right. And right there, we can cut that in there. Okay, good. I'm probably going to want to cut third. Doing one is not a great idea here. Let me fix this hull up a second here. Let's go to here, and then I'm going to go... We'll go like this. Doing a single is not helpful, so we want to go, actually, let's do at least 2. That's going to give us more space. Alright, and especially your first couple boats, you're going to make pretty fat width-wise. There's a bunch of tricks you can do to make them more stable, but generally a good width on them is going to help a lot. And it's generally pretty, you get so many things going on when you're first starting to learn this game. It's best just to get something stable by making it a little bit on the wide side. You start getting better at it a little bit later on. It's good to get back to the build series here, play for a little bit. The other thing, too, I noticed a lot of players, they start to think that their build is huge. Keep it in mind, your player is 7 blocks tall, so, you know, at first you tend to not have a good idea of scale, so you think your craft is huge. Right there, that is, 1, 2, 3, 6 blocks, so your player could not even stand up in the bottom there, so keep that in mind. All right. I already responded to you, Rebecca. You know, are you a look at me person? Like, the stream's not about you. What do you want? Don't get this look at me attitude that people have. What do you want? I've already responded to you. Alright, there we go. Just type your question if you have a question or something. Alright, let's see. Do we want to put in angle there? Yeah, I'd say so. Alright, so these sorts of, you know, like I said, the builds are going to seem very big to you in the beginning. They're really not. So keep that in mind as you build something. You know, this is the beginner workbench. It's pretty small. Builds are going to be pretty reasonable size here. Alright, so a big thing where people, they start to lose scope of what their purpose is, and that's when they get either bored of gameplay or they don't know what to do next. Big thing is if you always kind of have an objective, and then you can build your vehicles to the objective, that's helpful, I find. And one of the things, too, is, so, like, right now our objective is to do that one mission. You know, and so because our objective is to do that one mission, you know, we only need a boat that's going to be able to do that one mission. You know, we could build it forever and ever if we wanted, but right now the objective is just build a boat that can do this one mission. Alright. Let's see. Might go, do I go a level and do a better transom on that, or do I cut it off? I'm trying to think. I think that's good the way it is. Alright, so with that in mind, that this boat does not need to last us the rest of our lives, this is going to be a real simple boat to one mission. Maybe 10 missions at most. Then we'd move on from that. And even, like, you know, someone who has as much experience in this game as I have, you know, still building something quick and simple to go do a mission, you know, is kind of fun sometimes because you often want to move on to your next build. You know, spending 400 hours on making a build sometimes can be exactly what you don't need. It's, you know, build something that's simple and can get the job done. Alright. Alright, so we got a hull in there. Alright, so again, watch the hull tutorial series. I go through some of the tips and tricks on this sort of stuff. Alright, so now that we've got somewhat of a hull in there, let's look where it is on the world view. And I'm going to put where I want it to sit. So I want it to sit right about there. And if we look at where the decking is, right, the deck is right here. So that's where the decking is, all right? So I generally like to do about a block below the decking. So there's, so right here is where the deck is. If we put the water one block below where the decking is, we're not going to get that washover effect that we have in game. So I'll do my water line here. And we do have less buoyancy in game than we do have in real life, so by making the ships a little bit fatter, especially starting out, there are a bunch of tricks you can do to get them looking more realistic, but to start out, it's good to have that. So now we have the deck is here, the water line's here. That's going to keep that washover effect from coming. How's it going there, Jack? It's just a beginner hull. Real quick, simple, easy boat. All right. All right, so that's now in the water. Let's go ahead and spawn it real quick, and it should be floating way, way, way too high. Go over this in the hull design tutorial. You want this. You want excessive buoyancy. Too many people will start their builds with not enough buoyancy, and then as you add features and cabins and weight and equipment, the boat's going to start going down lower and lower and lower, and then you're not going to be able to add buoyancy easily. You want to start with an overly buoyant hull, and if you look, see how high the water line is from the you know, from where it's supposed to be. And so that's perfect. That's exactly what we want, because the next thing we're going to do is we start to ballast. All right, so generally in boats, you're going to have most of the heavy components, you're going to try to get down low, and this is going to allow you to get a nice low center of gravity. And then we're just going to strip out, and we're going to start putting some weight blocks in here, and we'll start ballasting this boat out. I didn't want to go that far right there. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to start putting some weight blocks in here. Let's back it up so we are all back. If we look, our boat weighed 1419. So next thing we're doing is we're doing a ballasting pass. All right. So each weight block weighs 10. So now we're up to 2751. So we're almost double the mass, and we're going to see where it sits now. All right. So if we look, it's about right. You notice the black line is a little bit too low in the front, and it's a little bit too high in the back. So that's good. So we just need to adjust a little bit of that mass fore and aft. So probably let's say that, and let's give that a run. Yeah, we'll see if it's sitting nice and flat. So it's sitting nice and flat. It's still sitting a little bit high, but that's fine. All right. We're going to ballast a little bit more. I go through this in all the tutorial. If you watch the second video of the tutorial series on this, on boat stability, that I just put out. When did I put those out? Let me quickly look. Let me look. One of my most recent it was my most recent regular video. Came out April 26th, and then the hull tutorial series episode 1 came out April 22nd. I've recorded the next episode of it, but I haven't done it yet. This is essentially what you do in the next episode. You're ballasting. And so, we talked about in tutorial episode number 2, inherent stability. So, when the weight was really light, this center of gravity, the pink block, was up high towards right here where the water line is. If this pink block is up here, the boat doesn't care if it's upside down or right side up. Well, actually, I could spawn that and show you in a second here. By adding the ballast, you notice we've got it really nice and low now. Okay, and so I wish I had made a save a quick copy of this. Yeah, let's save this real quick. Let's see, career build series, boat 1, yeah, boat 1 V1, let's try that. All right, and now what I'll do is I'll delete out all these weight blocks, and I'll show you the difference. All right, let's save that. All right. It won't let me do a period, so let's do there _5. Let's see. That's fine. All right, and let's go ahead and spawn this again. So it's sitting really, really high. The center of gravity is reasonably high, and if we get on this and I go back and forth, you'll see it's not very stable. And so I go over this in that hull series. You notice how easy it is for me to roll this, and that's because the center of gravity is pretty close to the center of rotation. So if you notice, the center of gravity is right there. Center of rotation is right around here. So it's really close, and the boat really doesn't care if it's upside down or right side up, right? So we want our boat to always be right side up, correct? So if we go to this one that has the weight blocks in it, and it weighs 2490, right? The center of gravity is much lower. Let's get in the boat. So we expected this to be more stable, right? So you notice it's much more stable now. Before I was able to get it to hit the water. Now I can't. I can't get it to hit the water. So our boat is pretty inherently stable. And that's what we want. We want inherent stability. The more inherently stable your boat is, the lower the center of gravity, the more likely it's going to stay upright. Also, the quicker it's going to stop rocking back and forth. So let's do this. Get this rocking about as much as I can. So this is probably about as much as I can. And now let's sit in the middle and see how long it takes for it to stop. All right, so it's pretty much, it's pretty much leveling out there, pretty quick. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. Let's grab this one, the version 0.5. So again, this one weighs 1419, has a high center of gravity. Right. See, it's very easy for me to get this to start rocking and rolling. And rocking and rolling really crazy. You can get it to touch the water there. And let's see how long it takes for that to stop rocking and rolling. It'll take longer because it's right around the center of gravity, so it doesn't want to... center of gravity is right around the center of rotation, so it doesn't want to... it doesn't prefer to be down. Go ahead and watch that video. I go all through it. So let's grab this one with the ballasting. Now, it's still sitting a little bit high, so we can add a little bit more weight. Where we want to do this is right at the center of gravity. We've got it balanced forward and aft, so let's go ahead and balance a little bit more in the center section here. So, let's see, it should be these here. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll add some more ballast here. All right, so now we're down to 4742. All right, let's spawn it again. And again, I want that sitting on the water line. Now, this ballast can be deleted at any point. As we add engines and other heavy stuff, we can delete some of that ballast up because we don't want it to sit down too low. So let's go in, we'll just fly down here, and you can see where the line is in response to the water line. So you see it's pretty close. It's right on the water line there. All right. So it's a little bit high, but that's fine. We're going to add things like engines. So go ahead and bring it back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to one of my tutorials. That way you can just find it if you want. All right, modular engine tutorial. Let's see which one it is. I got to find the playlist. One of them I ended up making a boat. So right here, modular tutorial boat. This is from the video that I made. So let's cut this. So you can find this video. And you can just follow along with the tutorial and do the same thing. So I'm just going to cut that. And again, the point of this boat is to slap together a quick boat that we can just go do that mission. All right. Especially for new players, it's going to take you a while to learn the game. Just slap a boat together. I'll cut this. Center. Right, you don't need some finished boat. You don't need to fall in love with your boat. You just need something to go do that mission. So make an objective for yourself. Keep it simple, especially if you're just starting out. And then, you can make it more complicated. You can make everything much more complicated later on. But in the beginning, just go get some simple stuff done. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a motor in here. We'll do do we want to do a single? I always want to do twin engines. So let's do twin. The lower you... Okay, so some other things to consider here. Your center of gravity is here. If I put my propellers right behind the center of gravity, there's going to be very little of the bow going up. There's going to be very little pitching. So if I were to put a pin right in here, and the boat will rotate around the center of gravity, right? If I put the engines really low down here, as they push, they're both going to push the boat forward, but they're also going to push the nose up, and it's going to push the tail down, right? The stern down, if I put them really low. If I put them up really high, right, it's going to push here, which is going to push the boat forward, but it's also going to push the bow down and the stern up. If I put them right in line with the center of gravity, ideally, right, it's going to push us straight. So the closer you can get that to the center of gravity, the better. Now I'm going to go probably a block below it. That's very manageable to do. All right, so we got our props in there. You see a lot of this weird stuff where people build they put in props and then they take their rudder and they just kind of smack it on the back here. Again, I tend to go with what real boats look like. That tends to help. You put the rudders right behind the propellers. That's generally how they are IRL. That's generally what I do in game as well. I should add symmetry on for that. Let's get symmetry back on for that. I took it off for a reason. I'll put it back off for a reason. All right. And then let's go like that, actually. All right, so I'm going to take these fin rudders. Get rid of symmetry. Get rid of symmetry for an important reason is they're going to invert. So you notice how it's solid, solid. It would have been solid both on the inside doing that. Let's catch up with chat really quick. Yep, starting new one. How's it going there, Neo? Good to see you. All right, good. So if you notice, the propellers are only one block below the center of gravity. All right, you got twin props. That's going to make it easier to get the boat going fast and everything else. So we tend to like that. All right, so the next thing I see people do is they do this all the time. They take a fuel tank and they slap it in the front. If I can get it in there. All right, they slap it in the front. And the boat sits fine, right? It's full of fuel, right? It's heavy. And then what happens is they burn their fuel, and then their bow starts dipping down, and they wonder why their bow is dipping down. Well, your bow is dipping down because you have a big weight of fuel in the bow, right? And you balance it out, and now the boat's sitting flat when you leave, but as you burn that fuel, right, the boat's getting lighter in the bow starts lifting up, all right? Same thing, you put it in the stern, same thing, it's going to be off balance. So where do you put your fuel? You put it where every airplane and boat tries to put it, in the center. You put it right at the center of gravity. So right there is our center of gravity. Let's actually take a paint here. And what we'll do is we'll make a nice pink line there. That's where our center of gravity is, okay? Symmetry, please. Thank you. All right, that's where our center of gravity is. So that's where we're going to stick our fuel tanks. We're going to put them in the center. So now instead of the boat pitching with the burning of fuel, the boat is going to just go straight up. Same thing with airplanes. That's why the fuel generally is in the wings. That's where the center of lift is, right? That's where they try to put the center of gravity. And so as you burn fuel, the plane just gets lighter and goes straight up. If you had a bunch of fuel in the nose and you burn that, well, now the nose is very light. And so you have to have a big elevator. So all of these things are realistic problems you have to deal with. So now let's actually, I think we'll go on the side. It doesn't really matter. I'm nitpicking this. But, all right, good. Got a couple fuel tanks in there. It should be plenty. All right. Next, we need gear. Facing toward the engine will increase the propeller speed. That's what we want. All right. That's good. We need modular engine clutches. I don't build with the non-modular engines at all. What do we got? 1, 2, 3. We'll do 20s. All right, we'll make 20s. We'll put in... Where's the belt drive? There it is. Right. Again, by having these engines in low, right, that's going to help keep our center of gravity low. Part of putting this ballast weight in the bottom, what it's going to help us do is it's going to make it so that as we put heavier things in, like engines and everything else, if the boat starts sitting too low, we can always delete that out. And we can put in, we can subtract that, that ballast we're putting in with weight blocks. So that's something we can delete out of there if necessary. So if the boat starts sitting too low, we can delete out some ballast. All right, let's put some engines in here. All right, you can go for some more. I'm not going to go through every detail I do in my tutorials, but like, for example, you can go through and you can see... I'll quickly talk about gear and I'll do a quick one, but if you want the more in-depth one, you can always go to the tutorials. They'll always be more in-depth. All right, need starters. All right, I need some manifold pieces to be able to connect all these banks of cylinders. So we have 4 banks of cylinders. They need to be connected. Again, you can watch any of my modular engine tutorials for this. Alright, so now all the banks are connected, but I like to throw an extra one on there for symmetry purposes. Alright, let's go ahead and modular fuel manifold right there. Alright, we will vent this, but we'll vent it in a second. Alright, good. So fuel's connected now. We're going to have to do air anyway. I'm going to do that vented off of the fuel, likely. Exhaust can go right out into the ocean. So we'll do that out into the ocean here. Do I want to do it there? I'm trying to think. Doesn't really matter. Could do wet exhaust, could do dry exhaust. Might do it up top. Yeah, I'm going to do it up top here. So let's go ahead and we'll put it right here. Where are the rudders? Right there. Okay, so we'll do them right. Getting too picky here, but that's good. We'll do them right there. All right, fluid ports. I do this as a wet exhaust. Wet exhaust, they inject water into the exhaust. Offset there, okay. Exhaust. All right, good. So we got our exhaust. We've got that. Next thing we need is air. So generally speaking, this is where I like to tend to do like a bimini or some sort of top. And that way I can put the exhaust right in there. So go ahead like this. And that's where my air intakes are going to come out. So sometimes I do exhaust, but that's where my air intakes are going to be. Yeah, let's see, where are we in line here? Right there, right in the middle. Okay. So let's do this actually. Let's grab the starters, put them on the bottom. All right. Trying to see. You know what we'll do here? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and supercharge these. There's okay. You'll eventually find it. Let's see. We'll do there. Do an impeller. This one I always have to do like 3 times to find the right node for it. Actually, maybe we'll only have to do it once. Nope, that's wrong. Okay. I think I got it. All right. So that should be air in. Yep, fluid in there. Perfect. All right, good. All Alright, so some other tricks you can do to try to lighten up and get that center of gravity down, for example, like reduce the mass of this deck. Go over that in some of my videos where you can switch them out for wedges, because the wedges weigh half of what the full blocks weigh. You can do stuff like that. But this boat's going to be real simple. We don't have to worry about that. We don't need too many tricks with this boat because it's going to be pretty simple. Now, I'm trying to think how I want to put this air vent in here. So what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and... Let's go ahead and... ventilate my tanks. No, stop. Alright, put gas relief valves. All the gas relief valve really is it's the filter that only allows gas through. That's all it really does. And so now what's going to happen, let's path this. So there's going to be gas, air in the cylinders here, right? Devs did this to pressurize the tanks because people are having problems where their fuel wasn't moving, they didn't understand the pressure mechanics, and so it was kind of a quick and easy way to pressurize the tank to give people at least a little bit of pressure in their tanks to help them out. I personally not a fan, but it is helpful to people who don't understand the mechanics. So what I usually do is I vent that gas out. So these pressurized tanks are going to have a bunch of gas spawned in there. It's going to go out here, up here. The fuel will also try to go here, but once it hits these two gas reliefs, the fuel can't go any further. The gas is either going to go this way towards the engine, or it's going to go this way up and out into the atmosphere, and it's going to equalize. The air can also come straight down the pipes, and it can go back into the engines to feed the engines. Right, I like doing electric motors now. I changed up kind of the way I did these. You don't need a lot of power to keep these electric motors running at maximum liters per second. It only takes about, 0.185. So if you make that motor go 0.185, it barely uses any electricity, and it will get the maximum amount of liters per second of air anyway. So it's pretty efficient. I'll do alternators here. Just do 2 per is fine. All right, good. So that's set up. So we've got air, we've got fuel, we've got exhaust. We should have a working engine here. I'm just going to go ahead and take this microcontroller here. And we'll duplicate it. So we have one for each engine. All right, and we'll start hooking up. So I got RPS off the crankshaft, air manifold, fuel manifold, clutch. Now, I kind of know off the top of my head what the gear ratio is just because I've done this a bunch, but got 2 alternators. I can go to both of them. Coolant pump we are not worrying about yet. I'll do it in a second. Reverse is going to the gearbox. Radiator fan, if we use one. Starter. All right, good. So we'll do the cooling system in a second here. Trying to just knock this boat out fast. Again, this is a boat that I'm not going to use for very long. All right, I started that career game. I want to do the first mission, which is real simple. Go a very short distance and rescue and repair something. That's all I want to do. So that is my goal for episode 1. Or not necessarily episode 1, but that's my goal presently with this boat. Get that mission done. Keep your missions, keep that stuff real simple. You can grab any cylinder head for where the engine is. Any cylinder head will work. Seat goes to seat. All right. All right, so I want to change the controls here a little bit. So on my left side, I like to do WS. So AD is going to be steering regardless. WS is going to be the thrust for my left engine, my port engine. Up, down is going to be for my right engine. So we're going to go ahead to this one. This is for the port engine. I'm going to change the name of it. Port. All right, let's go in there and let's change this up. So here's the seat. 2 is WS, right? So I want port to be 2. That's fine. This should be all set. All right, starboard here. I'm going to change it to up, down. All right, and so up, down is 4. All right, that's now, get that going. All right, let's click on this. If we look WS, I set to reset 100%. You can check out why in my tutorial. Up, down is now reset 100%. That's going to be star. Throttle. And this one, instead of just being throttle, is going to be port throttle. All right, that's good. 6 is engine start stop. That's fine. We'll do that again. We just want to get this first mission done, right? New players want to spend all day. They get excited. They want to build the boat of their dreams. I get it. It's best just to kind of chill out and build something simple for your first build. And that's what we're going to do here too. So. All right, and right about there. Let's see, what's the height on that? That is 7. That's 8. That works for me. Just want to have a real simple goal for your first boat is just go get that one mission done. After that, you can complicate things and do more. But see, too many people trying to build the Titanic on day one. You know, gotta learn to walk before you can run. All right, real simple boat. All right, let's go ahead and see what else I need. I need batteries. Now, I like plural batteries, one for each, and that just is for redundancy's sake. All right, so here's our battery. Our battery is going to be recharged by our alternator. That's that's getting plugged in for us for recharge. Okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and add a node to this. Let's go ahead and do cooling first, actually. I'm going to take out, we're not going to have radiators, so I can use that node. All right, so what I tend to like to use for my boats is, so this is the other thing to look at. So if you look at the pink line, right, we put the pink line before I start adding all this extraneous nonsense, right, before I added fuel tanks or engines. Notice what it's done. It's moved towards the stern, right, because we put in engines and we put in things that weighed stuff. Every time you move that weight and you put in new weight, you've got to rebalance. How's it going there, Chuck? Good to see you. Quickly check chat here. I want to make sure I'm getting caught up here. Good to see you, Chuck. How's it going there, David? How are you? Good to see everybody. All right. So you notice how that center of gravity's moved towards the stern. All right, that's one of the reasons why we put these weight blocks in. We put them in early because now if we want to move that back, all we have to do is cut out some weight blocks. And now if you look, hey, it's back where it's supposed to be. So that's why we do that, is to make them movable like that. So what I like to use now in today's current iteration of the game is I like using these heat sinks. One, they're realistic to what boats would have. They would often have pipes going through the hull that would take the hot water that's being circulated through the engine out into the cold water outside, and the clean water, the non-salty water, stays in the pipe, but it then makes the pipe hot, and then the cold water outside cools and takes that heat away. Right? Heat's just vibration. You're passing the vibration from the hot water inside the pipe to the metal of the outside of the pipe, which then the cold water takes that vibration away and it reduces. So if we look at this weighs 18, okay? So we already know that we would like to cut a little mass out of the stern here. So let's go ahead and put it in the back. And let's put 2 heat sinks in there for now, like that. And we can build these right in the hull. And let's see where they are. I might need to move them. I don't, they're perfect. Look at that. If I can guess where that pipe is, we're in... Nope, I missed it probably by 1. All right, so there are 2 heat sinks right there. Okay. And so let's go ahead and let's actually go like this. And let's check the weight. So 3058. All right. All right, and then we'll do this. We'll cut these and we'll push them into the hull. All right, let's check the weight now. It was 3058. It's now 2794. Let's check and see where the center of gravity is. And it's bingo, right back in the pink line, right? So it's right back where it's supposed to be. All right, so as you add things like engines and heat sinks and stuff, you can cut the ballast weight accordingly where you need to be able to keep the balance correct. So now we've got our cooling system in there, or we got the start of our cooling system in here, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to grab a manifold. Now, ideally, you want to make these runs as short as possible. Shorter the better, I find. And the higher your liters per second, the better. All right, I got a cooling tutorial video again. I've got a tutorial video for everything. All right, these are ABs. That doesn't matter. There's not an in or an out, so you just circulate them. They're fine. All right, we'll put some sort of pumping system here in a second. Let's see what I likely want to do. I think I might just do small pumps. All right. They're 3, aren't they? Let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to do, could do impellers. I need to double check the flow rates of these. Again, 0.18 is so light. I tend to like to use those anyway. I'll show you the test real quick. I have a pump test I did. All right, so there are my motors for the for that. All right, so real quick, that's cooling. All right, so let's go ahead and save this. Just get rid of that. I don't need it. Let's not do that. Let's keep the hull. All right. I can't do points. 1, 1. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's do this real quick. We're still in the custom game. That's saved. Let's make sure it's saved. It is. All right, let's go check a couple of my tests here. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, Neil, why I did the why I started making all the tutorial videos like that is, I want to help people out, but it takes like 100 years for me to write out the same screed, and then or I could send you a YouTube link and you watch the YouTube, and I know that it's going to work. And like somebody messaged me today, they were having a problem with one of my tutorials, so I told them to send it in Discord. By the time they got it to me, they'd already figured it out. But I can then literally go in here like this, and I can find all of my tutorial examples that I posted on the workshop that go with my videos, and I can grab it and I can see if you did something wrong. So I might have forgot what I did, but I can see if you did something incorrectly or if something's not connected correctly. So it makes it a lot easier where, having to type out a paragraph that's really not all that helpful really is not, it's not the best way to do it. Let's check, I think I did flow test. I'm trying to find it. Let's see. Maybe it's under pump. Okay, here we go. Pump test. It's one of these. It's this one. Impeller pump test. All right, so this is one of the ones, let's see. So this was the test I did a while ago. Stand by. I got a call. I got to take. I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. That was I had a work call, so let me just go ahead and I got to write down one quick note from that call, and then we'll get hammering on this. All right, good. All right, so this was an example that I put together. You know, you hear a lot of this and that and speculation and everything else, and I find having a test rig is the best way to kind of get the truth of what's going on. And if people say, did the devs change this? And if you actually want to know that, if you have a test rig and you write down your numbers, and then you can bring the test rig back up, you can see if something actually changed. Sorry, I got to cough real quick here. Okay, good. So this is just fluid tank here. Let's see. I haven't played with this in a while. Gas relief valve. So at this point, it's been sitting here. Let me see. Do we have the pressure out? Should be pressured out. Let me look. Gas relief valve. Okay, if you look, carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen are all at 0. So all the gas pressure is gone. They pressurize liquids. IRL, of course, you can't pressurize liquids. Liquids are incompressible, but the reason they did it was to make it easier for players, because by being able to pressurize both the gases and the liquids, you get parity and you get more reliability. I would wish if it was 100% realistic, but they did this to make it simpler. They have to make it where the average person could play. You shouldn't have to be a chemical engineer to play the game, and that's why they did it. So let's go through these, and you can kind of see the flow rates. This is an old test, so we'll see how it works. But pretty much just a tank full of diesel, and all it does is circulate. So it's going to circulate. And there's just one reason I'm really doing this test. If you look, we got a flow rate of 217 liters per second. Let's go to this one. This one is this small pump. Flow rate of about 87 liters per second. This is just a circulatory test. So it's getting rid of all the gas pressure, and it's maintaining the 27, and it's just circulating. So 87 on that one. Here's the impeller, and this is the test that I did to kind of figure this out. All right, so if we go ahead and we put in a 1, 1 is maximum, right? Let's make sure we have infinite electricity on. Okay, 1 is maximum. All right, if we look there, we have 295 liters per second. So at a setting of 1, this is pumping more than the large pump. So the large pump is 217 liters per second. This is doing 295 liters per second, okay? So it's circulating that much, all right? Now, what you can do, though, so this is doing the motor. We can look, motor's at 1. RPS is 18. All right, so let's go to 0.5. See what we're pumping here. Oh, my God, look. We've got the motor going half as fast, and it's still doing 295. Let's go 0.25. Still 295. So this is where, people they still to this day will say this to me. They'll say like, oh, but are you accounting for how much electricity you need to do the motor? You don't need to. All right, so let's half this again. 1 1.25. All right, so now we start getting a flow rate change, okay? Now we're down, getting a flow rate change. All right, so if we go point, all right, so notice it was 0.125, okay? So 0.125, we went from 295 to 168. So let's start bumping it back up. Maybe it looks like that. Yeah. I know it's a maybe, but that's about where I figured it is. So 269 flow rate is max. Was it 295? Let's go up a little bit. Let's go 1 point. Let's just do 2. Okay, so about a little less than 2%. Let's go 195, something like that. That's a little low. Let's do right around 199. Let's try that. Trying to get it precise. Okay, so right about 199. Anything south of 0.2 will start to decrease it. So if it's at 1, right, the motor is going to be spinning faster. It's spinning at 18 RPS. and it's doing 295. If we put it at 0.2, it's still at 295 at 0.2. If we look at the RPS is only at 7.2 RPS. We're getting maximum flow. So it really doesn't use that much electricity because we're only putting 0.2 in there. And so what you can do is you can do a real quick test with this. And we can take, and as you see, the electricity is connected to it, as though I've done this test before. We can shut off infinite electricity, and we can see how long it would take for the battery to drain doing this. Let's do 2 tests, okay? Battery's at 100%. We go to 1. This is going to give us 295 liters per second. And watch the battery drain. Okay, so the battery's draining pretty quick, right? It's not super duper quick. We're losing about 1% every what? About every 2 seconds. We're losing about 1% every 2 seconds on that battery. And we're doing 295 liters per second, right? So let's go ahead and, I don't know if it scales linearly or not, I can't remember. So let's just get the battery back to 100%. So let's do 0.2. All right. So if we look, we're doing, it's, here, I screwed up the test. I gotta wait for the gas to stop. Let's let the gas escape real quick. Gotta screw it up the test, not letting the gas escape. It's gonna be pumping a bunch of air. Let's just wait for the air to all escape. But anyways, long story short, you don't need to pump this at 1 on the electric motor. You don't need that much air going into your engine. 295 is a lot of flow rate. This is liquid, of course. 295 is a lot. You don't need that much. What I've tended to find was, I'll look at one of my tests after this, but let's let the gas escape. So the point being of this long, drawn-out process that I'm talking about here is this electric pump here is giving you 217 liters per second. This is giving you 295. And, you know, you really don't need to produce that much electricity to run this motor. You really don't. I've got it in most of my builds now. It's kind of the new method I've gone with is this. You really don't need to use too much electricity to get really good flow rates out of these impellers. And you don't need max flow rate to feed your engine air. You don't. You just don't. All right, so we're almost out of air here. We'll do a quick test here. So let's quickly stick it to 1. All right, we're at 1. We're doing 296, 295. There it goes because some of that air pressure is finally pushing out. The diesel's helping to push the air pressure out. You can see how fast it's cutting down the battery. All right, now let's switch it to 0.2. All right. Notice it's still doing about, it's going down just a touch now at 0.2. And that's because the battery is draining, so it's not going to maintain consistent flow rate with the battery draining. But you really don't need that much. So if I tend to do like a 1.5 or a 0.18 or something like that, we're still doing 148 liters per second. And you notice how much slower we're going. Before, the second decimal was every 2 seconds. Now look at it. 2, 3, 4. So it takes us about 10 seconds for that second decimal to go down now. Okay? And we're still at 138 liters per second. If we turn this one on, we're at 87. So we far exceed one of these pumps with one of these impellers. So let's get this down to 87. So let's go down to, I don't know, 0.015. Try that. Okay, that's too low. Let's go to 0.1. That's close. That's real close. Let's do 0.12. All right, so this here exceeds that that pump there, and you can see it's really pretty slowly bringing down our battery. And so we have no problem using the alternators on our engines to maintain this pump. So that's kind of long long story there of what I've gone through. Let me try one of my engine tests here. I'm trying to find one of the engine tests. So this engine test rig here, I want to see what the setting is on that electric motor, because that's what I've been using lately for all my engines. So right there is coolant pump. Let's see what I'm using. I forget. I've been stepped away for so long. 0.19. So 0.185 is the number I'm using. So you don't have to make a really huge number to get really good flow rates. So let's go back and let's put that on the boat. So I'll catch up with chat here. Yeah, I'd rather press the key. I don't like, it's too cluttery for me if it comes up on its own. I'd rather press the key myself. All right, let's bring that boat back. So, I don't know, long story short of me getting, I got sidetracked with my call, but the long story short of that is that motor, like, people are like, oh, now you gotta make the electricity for that motor. The amount of electricity you're making for that motor is so small, it's really not a concern at all. So, we're going to go ahead and plug that in on either side. We'll do 185. I know that number works. Coolant pump right here, 0.185. It really doesn't use that much electricity. Radiator fan we don't need anymore. Let's see. I can keep it though. All right, so that's good. And then generally what I do is if the temperature is greater than 100 degrees, that's when it starts the pump. There's no point in getting that pump going until the engine's going to overheat anyway. So I don't even start my coolant pump until the engine hits 100. And then it's going to quickly kick it below 100. It's going to shut off. So when people are concerned about the electrical usage of this system, it is so minuscule because it says, oh, you hit 100, it kicks it on. It cools it back down to 99, it shuts it off. Then it kicks it back on, kicks it off. On, off, on, off. And so it uses barely any electricity at all. So that tends to be my experience with it, and that's why I use this system, is after a lot of testing, I found this to be the best. I used to do it as a, I used to gear it off of the drive shaft, but I found that actually steals more power than it's worth. It's better just to do it this way, I found. Okay. Alright, that's all good. Alright, so that's all set up. So 0.19, greater than 100. Alright, so those are all set. You plug those right in. Coolant pump right here. Coolant pump right there. Alright, so we have everything this engine needs. Shit. That's impeller pump. Stand by. That's what I gotta do. Where's coolant pump? Coolant pump is here. I just hooked the wrong thing up. Alright, what we'll do here is we'll go in here and we'll start the... same thing for my air injection. I don't need it to be running at full. I really just don't. 185 gives me almost maximum flow rate anyway. So what I'm going to do here is this radiator fan is going to be, let's change that, because I don't need a radiator fan. I put that in case people, because I started the tutorial with, it was a car with a radiator fan made sense. Then it goes to a boat. And I told people you can either use a radiator or you can use something in the hull. That's why it's different. So this will be a number output, and this will be supercharger. All right, supercharger there. Let's grab that supercharger here. And what we'll do is when the engine is turned on with 6, we'll just have another, just pretty much do this. All right, so here's when the engine is turned on by 6, it's going to turn the supercharger on to 0.19. So that's all that will do, and that will get us where we need to be. Do it over here. So that's kind of my newer way to do this. I find this to work really well. All right, good. So that's in there. We got a supercharger. plug that one in. Supercharger. Supercharger. Alright, good. So we should be all set here, I think, for a test. Let's hopefully, we should have everything. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll give it a quick run. Let's see. I want to change this for a second here. Let's see. 6 is starboard engine. 5 is going to be this. Okay. Alright, and we'll make that 5 for port and 6 for starboard. And I gotta plug in electricity here, and then we should be ready to rock and roll here. I'm just gonna do everything. I'll do systems, and then I'll just gang them together for now. Alternators. Right, alternators will go right to the batteries. These two can be connected together. They'll be part of engine systems, and then I'll just gang everything together for now, and then we can I can fix it later when I want to change it. All right, so that's everything together. Let's give it a start. Did it start up? Can't hear it. Starters, I didn't plug in the electricity in the starters. That would do it. All right. Starters didn't get plugged in on electricity, so that would do it right there. All right. I don't have rudders connected yet, but that's not the point. All right, so going back to kind of the basics of boats. So I was talking about how, remember, the propellers are about 1 block below the center of gravity. And because the propellers are 1 block below the center of gravity, you notice the bow is coming up. That's fine. If we put the propellers lower, the bow would come up more. If we put them exactly in line, the bow would not come up at all. If we put them above the center of gravity, the bow would be pushed down. So we can easily fix that with one of my stability systems. All right, good. So we got a boat that works and runs. Let me quickly check some chat here. Okay, yeah, I've already read that from Exorus. Thanks. All right, good. So let's save this. So let's go 1.2, essentially. All right, so we've got a functional boat now. All right. Everything should function, okay? Famous last word, should. All right, so let's go ahead, and we're going to make it real simple. We'll do a linear. Again, this is where I see a lot of new players struggle, is they try to make their boat do everything right off the bat. You know, your first steps you need to be doing when you first start out is you need to be able to just go do a mission and have some success. And that's where people get frustrated right off the bat, is day one they want to build the Titanic, and they want to be able to go do everything. You gotta come back down to earth and realize you don't know enough to do that. You need to just start simple, get a little bit of success, and then once you have that success, you're good to move on from there. All right. Let's just go quickly. All I care about right now is just gonna put RPS in there. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is gearing. Let me quickly take AD. Hook it to the rudders. No stability system or anything in here. I'm just running this. All right, I'm just going to quickly check speed. So we have a linear speed. I can read that. We're going to have RPS here. All right, again, you can go in and figure these things out in more detail from my tutorial. So we're going to see how the rudders turn in the correct direction. Yep. It generally, the blocks generally orient the correct direction in start. All right, good. So we have a functional boat. It's not going to be very fast. It's 1-to-1 gear ratio right now. So we're doing 8 meters per second. It's 8 times 1.94. 8 times 1.94. 15 knots, not bad. We're doing 13 RPS. Likely those impeller pumps aren't even on yet. Let's quickly see if I can get in there, and we'll haunt the downstairs here and see what we can giggity. That's probably On the downstairs. All right, so let's look at this impeller pump. It's not even on yet because the temperature is not high enough. All right, so let's see if I can get a temp. Manifold temperature is 23 degrees Celsius, 24 degrees Celsius. This thing is not heating very fast. So this is not even going to turn on until that happens. If we look at the impeller, we're doing 89 liters per second. We're doing 0.18. Let's see if our electric's dropping. Trying to see. See, it's electric's a little low. Let me see what the alternator's doing. Yep, so the alternators likely aren't enough at the moment. We could put generators on if we need it. We're currently discharging just a little bit, but we can fix that. All right, so let's work on that real quick. Let's grab an alternator, put another alternator on there. Where is it? Alternator right here. Where is it? Alternator right there. All right, throw a third alternator on there to check that out, see if we can't get it up. If need be, we can reduce some of that electric load, and we can also put a generator on the prop shafts if we need to. We'll see if that needs it. So let's actually go and I've got the 2 RPSs. Let's go, and I'm going to put in one for the battery, or one each for the batteries. And that's going to kind of, what we want to do is, again, we have a simple goal here for episode 1, and what we would want to be doing in the beginning of our career game is just get something that works, all right? That's all you really want to be doing early on. Get something that works, go do a mission. All right, and that's where I'd like to finish this. So, is that connected? Okay, good. All right, alternators are all connected. Nope, I missed one. Let's hook that to there. That's going to the battery for recharge. All right, good. All right, so what we're going to do next is gearing as well. So we'll do a couple things. We want to get our boat kind of geared up. So let's go. All right, let's look at these. All right, we're discharging a little bit, so we might need to do a shaft drive on there. We can also see, do we lose any power if I cut down the supercharger? We'll have to check that. Let's go ahead and let's look at speed. So we're doing about what we were doing, 15-something knots. All right, so real simple. This is where people get confused. To distill down, the best video for this I have is Beginner Series. Beginner Series, and it has one on Let's Make Our Boat Faster. And real simple, all I do is, so we know what a 1-to-1 gear ratio is going to be. Let's go ahead and put the other ratio to reverse. And we know what 1-to-1 is. 1-to-1 gives us about 15 knots. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go 6.5, 6.5, and then we're going to pick the next gear, 3.2, 3.2. All right, and then we're going to just do, we'll just do 4. I don't think 4 is connected to anything. We'll do 4, and now we're going to just quickly go out there, and we're going to just get our boat to be faster. That's all we're going to do, and we're going to find a good speed for it. Now, this is where a lot of people get hung up on faster is always better. No. Faster is great, but it's going to likely use more fuel. It's going to be harder to cool. You need to balance. You don't have a lot of fuel early in game. You don't have a lot of money early in game. So you want to make something that's efficient. All right, so we're starting now in 6.5. So 6.5 pointing towards the engine, I believe, is a 1.2. Be what is 6 divided by 5? 6 divided by 5, 1.2. So 1.2 to 1 gear ratio. So the RPS should go down if our engine is being more stressed. And our speed should go up, and it has, right? We're hitting about 10 knots. Let's say 9.5, 10. So right off the bat, it was 7.8. So let's say it's 9.5 times 1.94. Boat's now going 18.43 for the same RPS. So we're making it faster, and it's about as efficient. Might be a little less. All right, so now we're going to hit 4. We're going to switch our gear ratio. You've noticed we're now starting to stress our engines. They're down to 12, so we've lost some RPS, but our speed should have gone up, and it has. We're hitting about 12 meters per second, so 12 times 1.94, that's 23.28. All right, so we're doing 23.28 knots, so we're doing better. All right, so we now know where that is, 23.28. So we can go to 9.521. And generally speaking, a boat like this, 9.5 is probably going to be our best gear ratio. So I kind of already know that. So 3.2 and 9.5 for the size of an engine, just from experience. All right, so 9.5 is our current gear. So real quick, basics of understanding how gearing and load, and you're trading things, right? You're trading torque for RPS. Because you're trading away torque, you're putting load in the engine, and we expect the RPS to go down. It has. It went from 12.6 to now it's around 11.9. All right. The speed may or may not go up. Likely it went up. It did. 14. So now we're at 14 times 1.94. That's 27 knots. So we got a good speed here. 27 knots is a good speed for a boat. All right. And we're also, the RPM's gone down. So the RPS has gone down. We're burning less fuel to go faster, so we're now doing good efficiency. Let's press 4. Now we're in 2.1. So again, make a prediction. RPS went down. It did. Right? It was 11.9. It's now 11.4 or 5. Speed may or may not have gone up. It did. 15 knots, but not by as much. So 15 times 1.94. We're now at 29 knots. All right. So we know a 2-to-1 works fine. The lower you get that RPS, you're going to be increasing, generally speaking, you're going to be increasing your fuel efficiency. All right, so we know what a 2.1 does, so let's do 2.1, 3.1, and then we're pretty much done. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do this last test, and this will figure out our gear ratio. So figuring out your gear ratios for a boat should be dead simple, because you shouldn't be shifting gears in a boat other than going forward and reverse. All right, so predictions again, right? We increase the gear ratio, so we expect the load to go up, the RPS to go down in response to the load going up. You don't get anything for free, right? So we're down to 10.2. Speed may or may not have gone up. All right, 16 now. 16 times 1.94. That's 31. So we have gained speed. So you're going to find the ideal gear ratio if you... how did I put it before? So this is the way I generally put gearing to make it super simple in one sentence. If increasing the gear ratio while the arrow is pointing towards the engine makes you go slower, you need a bigger engine for that gear ratio. You either need to drop the gear ratio, decrease load, or you need a bigger engine, increase power. Because you're trading away your power, and if you keep increasing the gear ratio, people think you're just magically going to keep going faster. You're not. Because you trade power for speed, and eventually your power goes down too much, and the only way to then go faster is to add more power, which is more cylinders. All right, so that's a, what was that, 5.2? This is a 5.2. All right, so 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 to 1 gear ratio. We got one more gear ratio, so we got a 3.1, the prediction. We increase the load, that's going to decrease the RPS. All right, and it may or may not increase speed because as the RPS goes down, the multiplier, it multiplies via a lower RPS now. So let's go ahead and press 4 again. Yep, prediction was right. It went down in RPS, and speed is now 18.9. Let's see if it hangs around 19. Let's say 18.6. All right, so we're now going 36 knots. So this is what I would consider a fast boat. And now remember how I talked about inherent stability. I talked about it in that tutorial video and how important inherent stability is. I have 0 stability system on this. I don't have a rudder stability system. I don't have a fin stability system. I don't have a moving weight. I have none of that. This boat starts inherently stable, and if you kind of come into that with every one of your builds, let's make the boat inherently stable to start with. you then have a very easy job of fixing any stability problems because your boat is generally pretty stable. All right. So you notice how stable this boat is. I have no stability system on this. And I can do a full turn at full speed, and we're not going crazy, right? And that's because it's inherently stable. All right, so that would be my big recommendation. That's why I did that tutorial series recently on boat stability. It works with everything. It works with airplanes. It works with cars. If you make it inherently stable to start with, you make your job very easy. Other thing to notice how high the bow is sitting, right? What do we talk about? The props are one block below the center of gravity, so naturally what's going to happen is they're going to push the bow up. All right, if we raise the props one, which we don't have to, it would sit flat. We can fix that with a stability system, and what we'll actually do is we'll raise the stern up, and that will get us higher up out of the water, less drag, and we'll actually go faster as well. Sorry, I was trying everything I could to not cough in the mic. I don't have a quick disconnect button for the mic. I should do that. But alright, so we figured out a gearing system, a 3-1. I could probably keep going up in gear, but I don't want to add a second gearbox. I don't need to. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring this back to the workbench. And we're pretty much getting close to where we need to be. So a 3-1 is our gear ratio for this boat. I put big engines in this on purpose to make it real easy. They're 20s. That makes it really nice and easy. We're running at a pretty good RPS. I think we're, around 10. So now we've got reverse in there. All right. Now, the opposite is true as well. The propellers are below the center of gravity, so likely they're going to lift the stern up as we reverse. So you need to keep that in mind as well. But generally, boats function pretty well. Let's go ahead and save. Let's actually start adding what we need. Let's just go do this mission. Yeah, it looks very natural, and it looks natural because we're utilizing realistic physics and realistic boat design to make our boat. And surprise, surprise, if you kind of follow some realistic things, it behaves naturally. You start putting the stability systems in, they go really flat, and that's because you're no longer really natural anymore. You're augmenting it a lot. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll put in some equipment. Yeah, but I also like how it behaves naturally. It's the same thing with if you watch me building that Egg 747. I built it so that it was stable without any sort of gyro, and then once it was stable, then I started putting in the gyro. And once it's inherently stable, it works for every craft: cars, boats, planes. You'll notice they behave themselves really well. People build stuff that's inherently unstable, and then they're surprised when it doesn't work very well. All right, so we pretty much have what we need to do this mission. We also have an excess of power, not a ton, but our boat's going pretty fast, right? Our boat's going fast, and we don't have any sort of power problems. I wish I moved the engines up one. Crap. Now I'm kind of wanting, I wish this was moved up one. I can do it, it's not a big deal. Let's move this up one. This actually isn't too bad. Let's do this. I wasn't sure how the power generation, we're a little bit lacking on power generation. So let's, we're going to need other systems too later. So let's go ahead and do this. Cut that, move that one up. I just need one slot forward. All right, good. Let's see what I broke. That's fine. That can merge there. This here can come back. All right, there we go. All right, that's good. All right, and we'll just fix a couple things here. So I'm going to put in inline generators here as well. And I don't really want those geared up. I could. I don't think I need them geared up. I could do it either way. What are we cocking here? Trying to keep everything simple again. This, you know, when I talked about this, this is going to be a, I don't think throwaway boat's the right thing, but it doesn't need to be your boat you're going to use for the rest of your life. It just needs to be a boat that's going to do what it needs to do for now, right? So, real simple. Let's plug these together. Let's go like this to the batteries. I'll segregate all the electrical systems later how I want them. For our alternator connections here, it's the same. This battery here is being fed by this system. This battery is being fed by that system. We go to the alternator, and we hook it to the clutches there, and it's going to do the exact same thing that the alternators do. We don't even need to screw with the system. It's going to clutch in. If that's not giving us enough power, all I have to do is move these gearboxes forward one, and now we have a 3-to-1 gear ratio. I'm just trying not to cut out too much power from the engine. The last little problem I have with this boat I need to fix is to make sure I cut something that I needed. Let me look. Fuel? Air. It's the air. Okay, that's what it was. I didn't account for fixing the air. All right, let's do that. All right, air's fixed now, so we should be good. All right. So this was the last little problem, is just make sure this doesn't run out of electricity. Let's test this, make sure we're good. Right, still doing good speed there, and we are still eating up some electricity. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. Let's see how low we can get that number on that supercharger. Because that supercharger is constant. We'll try two things. I've been away from the game for a while too, so I'm forgetting some of my numbers and settings. So let's go like this. So let's see how much the supercharger is actually helping us out. We were using, what was it, 1 point what? Did I have the supercharger in there? No, I didn't put it in there as a property number, did I? That's a constant number. I should be doing properties anyways, but I was doing 1.85. All right, so we got that in mind. I'm going to hook that up to electricity to make that work. So it's using a little bit more than I remembered it using, but should be able to get around it. All right, let's get out there and let's quickly check this out. We'll tune in the alternators. The alternators are clutching all the way up to 15, so they're definitely engaging fine. All right, let's see. So right now we have no electrical drain at all. Let's check our speed to see if we have any suffering of speed. No. So we don't even need the superchargers on there. We're not putting enough fuel into this boat to need the superchargers, so that's a simple fix. Don't even need the superchargers. So we can quickly just leave them, and we can supercharge later. So right now we have good electrical production without superchargers at all. So let's just make sure that's the case. Should be. Okay. Electrical's good. You can notice that we knocked down our speed just a little bit. Not by too much, actually, like maybe a knot or two at most, to put on that extra electrical generation, but we should be fine. You can see we're at pretty much 100%. That was the only thing using electricity with the supercharger. We can put it back in the loop later if we need to, but it's we're just not we're not putting enough fuel in this to really even need the superchargers at the moment. All right, good. So that's good. That should take care of everything that we need to make this vehicle work. So let's go do that mission. All right, I'm just going to say if this is version 1.2, I don't need a million versions. And let's go ahead and we'll load up the world, and let's actually go do our first mission. Yeah, one thing you can do to tune that in, Exorus, is if you want some of the banking, you then can put in like kind of just put in a clamp on it almost, and you can set the maximum value so it still has some give, and it will still stabilize you better, but it will have some. So let's look at this boat. It's currently $13,000. So it's a basic boat. We have after this we'll have 63.55 left. All right. So that's where we're going to be at. All right. Let's see how much fuel we start with. 51.49 liters. All right. So we're going to go to our first mission. First mission is somewhere in here. It is foggy, right? It does tell us to even use. It says it's activated as transponder. So let's go in. Let's go and just find this thing. All right. A lot of new players, you know, they say how hard it is to navigate. Let's actually we'll speak to that real quick. All right. Here's a compass ball. This was good enough for our ancestors for a very long time. This is good enough for us for a while, all right? And, you know, people get really spoiled by GPS. You know, I'll put on my old Hitman hat. You used to have to navigate by a compass and map before. It's pretty normal. It's not a big deal. I don't like where that is. Let's go like this real quick. I don't really care about my speed too much at the moment. We know what we can go. We know we're efficient. Put the compass ball here. You know, if you learn how to navigate by a compass, you'll always know where you are. It's a great life skill, and everybody wants to jump right to GPS. You're in a game. It's not going to hurt you. Just go out there with a compass and screw around a little bit. See if you can find it. All right. So real quick, we have a compass, right? We're headed straight down here. All right. Let's go towards over here, right? So if this is south, right, and that's a little bit southwest, right? Just a little bit southwest. All right. Let's just use the compass, and we'll head a little bit southwest. All right. We don't need to have GPS navigation. We are in the fog. Now let's head a little bit southwest. So here we go, a little bit southwest. All right. And I also talked about this at the beginning of the episode. You don't need to do any of these missions, right? It even says they have a little prompt that says another agency has completed the mission, right? You don't need to do any of the missions. You can sleep in a bed, get a new mission. So if it's too foggy and you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Go do something else. All right, so there's the island. We know that. It's pretty foggy out, but we're doing our mission. The seas are choppy, but they're not too bad. And bingo, there it is. All right, just spotted it in 2 seconds, okay? There it is right there, okay? Let me shut off, okay, third person, everything's off, so you can't do anything you can't do in a regular game. I think that's it. Let's see. Looks like that's it. There's a flare. Yep, that's a flare. So you see how quick we found that mission. You know, yes, I've played for a long time, but I just used my eyeballs and I just looked around and I saw it. There's a lighthouse. That's not it. There's a flare, right? We're looking for a boat in distress. It's going to pop a flare. It took us a couple seconds to find this. And I just saw the boat off the... And bingo, we just got the message. There it is. Okay. All right. So, not a big deal. Like, you see how quickly we did that with just a compass, right? We went off towards the center, right? I wanted to get towards this center position. And as we got there, I looked left and right, and bingo, we spotted the vessel in the fog, right? So, and if you don't feel comfortable with that, you don't have to. Just go and wait out the mission. You know, wait for a new mission, go sleep in a bed. All right, good. So, here's our person. They want us to repair something. Let's... Read the mission. A lot of people don't do this. Put your cursor over it. Rescue one casualty to the hospital. Sorry, I coughed into the mic. All right, it said something about repairs, but maybe I misremember. All right, we got the person. Hiya. All right, oh my god, I forgot to put a ladder on my boat, right? You learn the jump real quick. Bingo, jump, and we're in. Alright, character is in. We've rescued the one person. I thought it said something about repairs. Let me see. I want to make sure that gets done. What was this one? I just want to check this one. That's the transport of the engineer. That's fine. That was up because I had no clip on for a minute. You can also go steal some stuff off boats. This one needs repair. I'm going to repair it anyway. I thought it had a repair component to the mission, but maybe I'm misremembering. But let's go ahead and we'll repair it anyways, and if it is, we'll have that done. All right, yep, there was a repair component. It did say it when I accepted the mission, or went to the mission. So there we go. We just got $2 grand for doing that. All right. So one thing I like to do is keep a little note of what I need on my boat, right? We could use a ladder. You don't need it. Just push up against the back, do a little jump. Bingo, you're in. You'll get good at that after a while. All right. Now the hospital. Oh my God, I'm lost in this vast sea of white and fog, and it's getting dark. Oh my God, panic. All right. The sun tends to set in the west. That's generally where the sun sets. And it rises in the east. All right. So there is west. All right. So we knew about where we were. Well, we know really where we are. It's right here now, right? So if that's the west, that's east over here, right? We also have a compass. We're facing north. That's west. Hey, west, I said, was where the sun was. And our compass says, yep, that's where it is. And the hospital's over at the east. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to push up my left engine. There we go. And we're going to go east. It's a little bit dark for me here. Let me see. Still need to go. And then the other thing is the lighthouse. We can use the lighthouse for navigation, right? That should be to our southwest. Where's the lighthouse? Lighthouse is right here. All right. And that's to our southwest. So there's our beacon for our base, right? So we have a red light on our base. I can't see my compass ball. I should put a light on that. But I can do this too. We are headed a little bit southeast. Let's head more east than southeast. All right. So there is east. I can see where my base is, right? I've just got one engine going right now. Let's get them both going. Alright, so pretty basic navigation here using a compass, right? But if you learn this skill, you can get anywhere, right? And bingo, here's land. Land ho. There's the beacon for our base. And we found it in the fog, right? It's really not that hard. You're using a compass. You're going short distances. We're not talking about, you know, you're homing to far off locations. You're just going really short distances here when you're first starting out. So you don't need GPSs. You go right to GPSs. You become dependent on this stuff. It's like just chill out and get yourself a... you know, I don't think I have reverse set up yet, so I want to be careful here. I don't need reverse. I think I forgot to set it up. So, all right, boat stopped. Let's make sure it stopped. All right, good. Grab this person. That was a good docking job. Better say so myself. All right, so that's a skill you see, like people like, oh my God, the mission's so far away, and how am I supposed to find it? It's foggy, and the weather's really bad. My boat keeps rolling over. Sleep in a bed. Get rid of the bad weather. Get rid of the heavy seas, and do a mission when it's nice and calm out, if you want. You can always go in the workshop and download anyone else's this and that, but I would learn how to use a compass first, right? You can put one in your pocket as well. Here's some money. 8,000 cash. Good. So we've already made 10 grand. All right. And so one thing where a lot of people struggle is they also struggle with trying to find purpose. You know, you make your own purpose in life. You make your own purpose in game. All right. And so one of the purposes here, there's another 3 grand. So we made 13 grand. All right. The boat cost 13 grand. We just made what the whole boat costs, and we put it back in the bench, and we're going to get all that money back. Where the hell was I? Over here. You know, make your own purpose. So one thing is, every time you go out on a mission, leave with the purpose of, let's make our boat better, you know. And then after a while, okay, your boat's really good. You're getting to the point where, yeah, you might want to make a new boat, or, hey, maybe I want a helicopter, right? And then your goal is to get to the next stage, to build a helicopter, or build something bigger, or build, like, generally what I do to keep myself interested in career is I say, I want to start mining. You know, we had so much fun doing multiplayer mining where I built a bunch of different mining vehicles, and a bunch of different people in the community built mining vehicles, and we all played multiplayer with our mining vehicles. You know, that's a hell of a lot of fun. If that's your goal to get into mining, well, you need a lot of money for it. So start doing some missions, you know, start doing harder missions. Okay, my boat's not capable of going out in really heavy seas. I either need a bigger boat or a more stable boat. Go make some improvements to your vehicle. And then I usually like to buy an island and build a static base there, you know, and customize the base. So that's a goal. So always come up with some short-term goals, some medium-term goals, some long-term goals, and that'll keep you interested in the game. So, like, my short-term goal for this episode was I need to do this mission. And this was the mission I needed to do. And so I needed to build a boat to do this mission. That was my goal. That goal is done, right? And now, so for the next episode, your mission might be, I want to improve my boat so it can go out in heavier seas, or, hey, I didn't feel comfortable in the fog, right? And because I didn't feel comfortable in the fog, I want to make sure I have a lighted compass. Maybe start doing a GPS bearing panel like I have in one of my tutorials. If you have a GPS bearing panel, you can find anywhere, right, on the map. You now have a GPS system that's basic, but will allow you to go anywhere in the map, you know. All right, good. So we got the mission done. Now we're going to lose some of the fuel to the pipes. We just made big money there. It's not a big deal. We'll get fuel later. A lot of people will freak out about not having the fuel. The benefit is it gives you something to do to go get more fuel. So one thing we can do here, right? Let's go ahead and click to 4. Let's make this compass light. Or we'll do back lights. That way we can do it for everything. All right, so 4 is now backlights. Eventually, if I can find it. There we go. Whereas 4 is backlights. All right, so now the compass is going to be lit. I want to go back and I want to put reverse onto here. I want to make sure we have the reverse gear in. All right, good. So now we can actually reverse our boat. So now let's save it as a proper version 1.2. All right. So that's all you really need to do for the first boat. And if we look, once we get out of this editor, it's saved. Right, I just saved it. 2046. Yep. Okay. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right, let's look at our money. All right, so we've done one mission. We went from 20,000 almost to 40,000. So we doubled our money in one mission. All right, not a huge problem there to make some money. Right, we just doubled our money in one mission. You know, part of it was the 2 loot crates, but you know that's how you find loot crates as you move around the map, right? So I think that perfectly counts. That's not a, you know, not something that's unfair. They're on the map. You can get them. All right, and then we'll bring up the next mission. Rescue 5 casualties, right? So 5 casualties should be a lot of money, right? See where it is. It's right there. Okay. So with basic dead reckoning, right, we're going to use the same system we had before. It's actually, we'll add something. We could still dead reckon this, all right? We could still use the compass, right? That's north. That's west. That's northwest, right? Is it clear out or is it foggy? Well, it's a little foggy, right? So we could head northwest for a while. And we could go just kind of freelance. We could even get up here and see if we can see it, right? The seas are pretty choppy, so the first thing I always tell new players especially is make sure you want to do this mission and it's not too dangerous. We should be able to do it. I am not getting the mute button quick enough for every time I cough. I've had a cold the last 4 days. All right, so let's go ahead, and this is what I recommend you do. I'm going to save this as a backup. All right, now I gotta save. So I've got my save from before I did my first missions, right? So there's somebody on Reddit a little while ago. They were like, "Oh, I'm getting so frustrated. I did this mission, and then my boat sank, and then I can't get back." And and I told them, if you save your game before you go do the mission, and you fail the mission, you can go back and fix your vehicle to make it better, and then you reload your save, and guess what you get to do now? You get to do the mission over again. And you can keep going until you complete the mission. You don't have to, oh my god, my boat sank and now I'm done. You know, you don't have to do that. So let's go do this real quick. We got a chunk of money now. Alright, so I did this tutorial, let's see. Stormworks Basics Bearing panel. So this was from the tutorial. This is the new player career build series one. Let's see. 723, 24, 25. So this is the one here. So this is from the tutorial. So you can go check out the new player career build series, and you can actually see me build this. And so really quickly, I take this module, and we're gonna put this in. All right, we're improving our vehicle, and we're gonna add a bearing system on here, and this will allow us with GPS to navigate anywhere in the world. You know, of course, you can't go on the land in a boat, but you know what I mean. All right, that's going there, and then this is our physics sensor. Physics sensor will, I like to try to get it by the center of gravity in the middle. You don't have to. It's not the end of the world, but it does make things better if you're trying to do, for example, some stability systems and you use an angular motion. It's best if you're actually, you know, angular motions at the center, at the central pivot. Let's see, where are we going to put this? We'll keep it real simple. Again, this doesn't need to look pretty in the beginning. We're just making it functional. Again, people try to make their builds beautiful right off the bat. You can do that if you want, but again, for a new player trying to just learn the game, just whack it together and make something functional. Alright, there we go. Electricity is all connected. Alright, so we now have a GPS system. We're going to put in coordinates, and it's going to read us values. It's all in the tutorial. So that's the bearing. Let's see, make sure the panel's facing the correct direction here. It's backwards. Alright, let's do this. Alright, so now we have some information here. So simple bearing system. That's the bearing 2. That's the heading you should be heading. That's the distance. And that's the estimated time of arrival based on your current speed. Real simple system. I show you how to build it in that tutorial video, and then I show you again, I think, the new player career build series. So, we're going to go do this mission. We've improved our boat. That should be one of our goals. Every time we get in the game, we should be improving one of our vessels, or just playing, whatever you want to do. But so remember, this boat has no active stability system, and we're going to see if it can handle these waves, right? We're starting out, what did I say? We're going to go northwest. So here's west. There's northwest, all right? So let's try to navigate out to this rescue with Dead Reckoning just using the compass. So there's our island, and we're headed about northwest, all right? Let's look at the map. If we draw a line from right here, we're off the south of this. There's north, there's west, there's northwest. We should hopefully get close to this boat, right? So let's keep northwest. Now, there's something called homing, where if you keep just turning northwest, you're going to kind of do an arc. You want to ideally set courses. That's what this bearing system will allow you to do better, is set courses. But for now, I'm going to show you how we can still do this with Dead Reckoning. Right, I can't see what my linear speed's doing, but probably going a little bit slower than we were. But again, these missions do not start very far away. That looks like a long distance. Let's just do this real quick. Right, actually I don't want to see where it is, so let's put a parallel point here. Put it about there. I don't want to see right where it is. Let's just quickly go in custom menu, 3D waypoints, 2.2 kilometers. I gotta go back to northwest. So let's say it's within about 2 kilometers of where we are is the rescue. Maybe a little bit further. 2.5 kilometers. Really not that far. We'll use Dead Reckoning. So continue to go northwest. Let me try to read some chat while I'm navigating here. The waves are pushing me off course, but I don't know if you can use them in game. I assume they use the same skybox. If they're using the same skybox, you should be able to navigate via the stars. Yeah, I didn't put a defibrillator on there just because that would be something you would add later. So I'm just like, it's kind of part of my iterative design. But yep, that's something to add. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, you're going to consider the waves. The waves are going to be pushing you towards, that's a good point by David. So the waves are coming this direction, so let's look at our compass. If we're going northwest and the waves are about, I don't know, right there, they're coming from the north. So the waves are going to be pushing us south. So if we want to stay on course, we don't want to just head northwest. We want to head a little bit northwest because the waves are going to push us. This is the same thing that happens in an airplane. Right, if I have a crosswind when I'm going somewhere, I can already see the rescue. If I have a crosswind coming from the north and I'm going northwest, I need to go more northwest, or I'm going to get pushed south of my course. All right, and so by going a little bit into the wind, that's setting up your drift angle. We call that your crab angle in an airplane. You set up a crab, and you crab into the wind, and your course stays constant. And bingo! Look what we just found. Right, it didn't take long. We haven't used the GPS yet. That was with just Dead Reckoning, right? We said that's about northwest. We headed northwest. We then put in a correction for the wind, like David said. And now, bingo, we just found our next rescue with using nothing but a compass. And now we have backlights. And now if we look, see if they're draining our battery. Nope. We're making enough electricity. They're fine. And we just found our next rescue. So let's look at the rescue real quick. 5 casualties, that should be pretty good money. There's some in the water there. Bingo, we stop. And let's just get stopped up here. Oh, I forgot to put a ladder. Right? Not a big deal, right? We can still jump on board. Alright. What is it? Left mouse button heals self-target. Okay. I was used to playing, what's the drug game? Schedule 1, and I'd accidentally punch people. There's a boat. It's got the horn going. Alright, now the other thing with balance. Now our boat's pretty balanced, right? It's got a good low center of gravity. But why not throw the other person on the other side of the boat so we don't make the boat uneven, right? Not a bad strategy to do. Alright, so we'll add a ladder to the boat. I haven't done that yet. We gotta add that. That's on our to-do list. Make it a little bit easier, make it less likely we tip the boat over. Like, when you tip the boat over, it's usually because you're glitching in the blocks. Alright, that guy's good. This person's, they gotta bleed. Alright, we got this person, I think one more. It says 5. Alright. Alright, and we should have one more. Should be 5. Yep, 5. I think that might be the foghorn for the airfield there. And if you want to steal some shit, you can steal some shit like well, you can actually steal real shit in there, but steal the winter gear there. Alright, so this is a good point right here. This is not a good design. And then you get frustrated and say, oh my god, I'm stuck in the boat, I can't get out. That's why I always put up the custom menu. Is in the event that you need to no-clip, you can do it. Alright, cuts your frustration down. Like, this is a pain in the ass. If you couldn't figure it out, couldn't get through there, you can just no-clip your way out. Alright, get a little bit better with movement, you can kind of do it. We're looking for one more. Right here. It's Johnny here. Alright, good. Alright, look at that. That's Is that the hospital boat? I think it is. That might be what's honking. Alright, now I don't have anything attached to my boat that can get me attached to the hospital boat. So I'm not going to go to the hospital boat. But that could be something to add, like an anchor system that allows me to hook to the hospital boat. So, again, we're coming up with ideas as we operate here. So, we could dead reckon. We know we're here. We know where the hospital boat is. We could head, right, southeast to get back to this area. But what we'll do is we'll use our new bearing panel. So, we'll set a waypoint. And we'll set the waypoint. We'll submit it. And it now tells us a bearing to head to, right? What was I said we need to head southeast, right? So east is 90. South is 180, right? So, right, if you add 45 to east, or you subtract 45 from 180, you're about 135. So right there, we could dead reckon with that southeast heading, or we could use the bearing panel. Right now, I don't have a heading on there. Well, let's go ahead and head southeast, and that's the heading. So what I can do is, do I have a heading on there? I don't. I think this one might actually point. I think I have this set up so the needle points to where it is. I can't remember. But we're gonna head southeast. And we know the heading we need, so we can put a heading indicator in there. That's another thing to add to the boat. Heading indicator. This is the old, so that's the waypoint, right? So if you look, it's sending us right where we need to go, southeast. 134. Now if I turn too far east, that number is going to increase because we're heading more east, so it's telling us we need to head more south. So see the number increasing? So now if I head toward the south, the number should decrease because it's going to say, hey, dum-dum, head more east. So if I keep turning, when that number stops, we know we're headed the exact correct direction. So that's how this sort of thing works. All right, so right now the number is still decreasing, so we're still going too far south. Number's still gently decreasing a little bit more to the east. Alright, so now the number's not changing very much. Let's see what it's doing. Number is still decreasing. Let's go a little bit more east. Let's go a little bit more east. And there's the number increasing. So right here, we can figure out our heading in about 2 seconds. We're now heading about 132. Because we got the number to stop. Number is now increasing, right? So we need to go a little bit more to the south. Number stopped. Now the number is decreasing, so we need to go a little bit more to the east. So right there, we can use that simple bearing system and an understanding of how bearings work to now to stay on course. So right now, we're pretty well on course. So let's speed up. So a simple system like this is a real basic GPS. It's based on ADF, which is how you did basic navigation in an airplane. And you know, you could have a full moving map if you want, but I would tell people, like, hey, try to learn how to navigate via compass and learn how to navigate via bearings. And then if you want to do a moving map, great, but now you don't need to rely on that crutch anymore. So, like, see, notice the number's not changing at all. It means we're headed pretty much exactly where we should be headed. Speaking of Victorious's point about the stars, let's look at this constellation of 3 stars there. Let's point towards that. Let's head towards that, and that's pretty much, I think, giving us a pretty good heading. We're increasing a little bit. We need a little bit more east. See if I can get it to stop. Alright, so the number is greatly increasing. We need more south. Need more south. Number stopped. Alright, so right about there, that star right there. So let's use celestial nav. So that star right there is our star. Right about there. So it's increasing, which means we need to go a little bit more south. So let's just go a little bit more. All right, now it's decreasing, so it's somewhere in between these two stars here. This one here and this one here. How's it going there, Nathan? How are you? Let me try to catch up with chat and still navigate here. All right, let's check our course. So it's increasing, which means we're need to go more towards the south. Now it's decreasing, so yep, it's right around there is where we need to head. So again, a very basic system understanding, like if you understand how courses work, you can navigate. You know, I take a lot of this for granted, people not knowing this, but this was part of my, I have to be able to fly airplanes thousands of miles. You know, that's kind of why I know some of this stuff, but it's, if you, it's pretty simple to learn some of this stuff, and it's good life skills. All right, number is increasing, so we need to go a little bit more to the south. And bingo, what do we start to see? There's the island we're going for, right? Distance is 0.22. The closer we get, the more sensitive it's going to be. Right, and the ETA is showing us in minutes how many minutes it's going to be there. It's a real simple system. I show you how to make that in a tutorial, as usual. And bingo, we got where we needed to go. Now you'll notice the needle is going super fast now because the closer you get to your point, right, the bigger the degree differential is going to be. So the needle's going to move really fast, right? All right, let's just stop here. Got way too many of these Johnnies. I'm gonna grab them. Okay, let me check these people. Okay, they're both okay for right now. All right, you stay there, please. Thank you. Right now, so some things I would like to add to this boat right now. What am I learning that I'd like to add? Well, I want a ladder. And I would also like some rope anchors and ropes so I can tie it off. I'd like an anchor. That would be nice. Oh, you fucker. Why are you in the water again, you dickhead? Stay out of the water. Alright, so these are all things that, you should be iterating on your builds. And it gives you that sense of purpose of every time you go take your vehicle out, if you can kind of think of ways to improve it and to make your life easier, right? That's a good purpose in game. Where that's why like people talk about like they don't know what to do next. I think that's a big part of it. Is you got to kind of make your own purpose, and so improving the vehicle, and then eventually you say, you know what, I'd like a new vehicle, and especially if you're new, you're not, your vehicles are going to be probably pretty heinous to look at, and they're going to be, you're going to want to redesign them, and you're going to be itching to build a new vehicle, and that vehicle's good at, say, rescues where the waves aren't too bad, but you start getting really wavy conditions. You want a vehicle that handles the waves better, so you still use that vehicle when the waves aren't terrible, but when you get a really wavy day, you want your bigger boat, and then you get to have a bunch of different toys. So kind of nice to come up with your own little purpose every play session, then you're good to go. First aid kit. All right, good. All right, so we got our people on the shore. Heal them all up. See if we can get these people here with minimal nonsense. Okay, good. Minimal nonsense so far. I think the follow system's pretty good. Yeah, we're doing a pretty good job. Like, they jump where you jump. Like, if we jump, they all jump the same spot. So they're trying to do everything you're doing so that, so as long as you're kind of able to do it, they can kind of do it. Like, get wiggly, they get wiggly. That's just, it makes sense, because if they path the same place you go, likely you're walking where it's smart to walk. Use a modular engine microcontroller has trouble working with a 5x5 engine. I would put it in the, like Xora said, put it in the Discord help. I'm going to work tomorrow, and I'll be gone for 3 days, and then likely won't have much time to do much, but, you know, it's, that would be the best thing. Somebody else can help you out, and then... Hey, ding dong. Stop it. Alright, good. So, all those people that dropped off, we made a good bit of money on that. Let's check. We're now at 40,000, and the boat's out. So, we're actually at about $53,000+. So, we just made another big chunk of cash. We've done 2 missions. And we've done it pretty much with the same boat. And the cool thing with this game is as you come up with more modules, you could use workshop stuff. I'm not against using workshop stuff, but like the way I learned to build the game and what really started to make it more interesting for me was, yes, I would use something off the workshop, and then I would try to build my own version of that the way I wanted it, and then you end up having your own thing. And then you put that on your vehicles, and then you realize you like that more than anything on the workshop anyways because you made it, and it works the way you want it to work. And so that's a good purpose, is like, oh, you want a GPS system, you know, I made my own. I didn't want a moving map because I find that to be terribly boring. Right, we're not even going to put the GPS in there. I can see my base visually. We know it's north, right? Just north of the island. We're going north. Right, real basic dead reckoning here. Alright, we're going about 30-something knots in the fog, and we can still navigate real quick. You know, so now that we have a GPS system in the boat, and even though I don't have a heading indicator, which I think this might be set up... let me check something real quick. No, it isn't. I had it set up where on one of them, it would show you a bearing 2, and the needle would always point to where you're supposed to go, so as long as the needle was facing straight ahead, you were headed towards your bearing, so I might put that in there. Alright, so we barely used any fuel. Let's check our fuel. It was 51.49, I think. When we put this away, we will lose some fuel from the pipes, which I find to be negligible, and I actually like that little bit of loss of fuel just because it makes me have to go get fuel at some point. So, we've done 2 missions. 51.49 minus 45, was it 90? 90. We've used 559 liters of fuel. Not a lot of fuel to get 2 missions done. If we look at our money, we're up to 54,000. So we started at 20, we're already at 54. Our boat cost a whopping like 13. It's probably a little bit more with the bearing on there. Let me check it real quick. 14. So let me save it real quick. I think I have a bearing that points to the target. Let me check. I thought I put one in there that points to the target at all times. Trying to remember how to do heading. I had one that points the bearing to at all times. Let me see if I can find it. Where do you buy fuel in survival? Open up the map. And you want to look for the little fuel icons. Sometimes it takes a second to populate them. But, let's see, where are they? They haven't shown up yet. Let's see. I have a whole video on fuel. This is the refinery island. You can always buy fuel here. There anywhere. Let me quickly. I don't know why it's not showing them. Let's see. There is a diesel here. I don't know if that's a sell or buy. There's one at here on the dock. There you can buy, I believe. There's a buy right around here. There's a buy. Where is it? Up here by Holt Town, I think. Right around here. But go ahead and watch the new player career build series. If you watch the new player career build series, I have an episode that talks all about it. first thing you can do is you can go and you can scalp from other bases. Each base has about 5,100, so you could go here and take steel fuel from here. But I generally like that pressure of needing fuel because it makes me need to go do something. And so you can come over to North Harbor, which is a quick trip. Like, again, this looks like a long distance because we see this as a big continent. Oh my god, it's a long distance. It isn't. Put a waypoint marker there. That's 3 kilometers. On a clear day, I could pretty much see it. So, first thing you can do is you could go and get it from there. There is a buy. Let me quickly save here. Let's save the game. And I just tend to alternate my saves. So the last save was before we did that mission. So I'm going to save again. And now we have another save. So if we need to roll back, people always say, oh, my save got corrupted. Well, if you're doing a save and then a backup and you're alternating and then you're backing up your saves, you always have good saves. So let's quickly go look. I think it is right here. You go to, where's teleport? They'll have teleport. Sometimes it takes a while for the icons to show. I think there's one here. Let me look. Where am I? There is one. Where's the buy here? I think either at Holt Town or it's. Do I not have them? Are they? Did I get the bug where they don't come up? I've never had that bug before. I don't think where they don't show up. Oh, this is new. What is this? I've never seen. Oh, this is. I've never seen this before. This is interesting. What's this farm about? I've never seen this before. Huh. That's interesting. I've never seen this farm before. Is that new? When did that happen? Yeah, I've never seen this farm before. When did they add that? That's a good sign. Hopefully they add farming. That'd be great. Let me see. Let's go down the refinery aisle and make sure I didn't get the thing where they're not there. Shit, did I not have resource trading on? Yeah, it should be at the intersection. Where the hell is the refinery island? Oh, there's... So the refinery island's the big place to do it. Shit. This is the first time I've ever had this. Did I not put those on? Make sure I have resource trading on. Let's see what it's supposed to be. I might have screwed up my save. Let's see. Vault missions, cargo zones, cargo, mission zones, building, dock ballage, fish survey, forest fire, landmarks, oil survey, railroad signal, resource storage, resource trading. So that should be in there, I think. Did I get this bug for the first time ever where my fuel pumps disappeared? Huh, maybe I did. Let's try something here. Let's go and load one of my saves because I have all the saves saved, so. It would have been, let's go to backup. That's before the mission. It should be, which one is it, X-Horus? I thought I had that one selected. It's really not a big deal if you, to fix your save. This is where, like, people like, oh my god, my save's ruined. It really doesn't take a long time to fix your saves. So, there is a good chance I shut them off. Let me see if it's actually gone or if I shut them off. My understanding as well is they are a vehicle that gets spawned in the game. That's my understanding of how that works. So let me see if I might have not actually just selected them on because let's check them. So again, I did the smart thing and I made a save at every point. That's what I recommend to everybody, and people, like, they don't want to do that for some reason. Literally, I've never had them just disappear on me. I'm trying to see if they've done it, if they've disappeared or not. People claim they do. I've never seen it happen. It also could be if you don't have enough RAM because it's trying to save vehicle position. Then it doesn't. It doesn't save the accurate vehicle position, and then it doesn't know where to put them. All right, so that is. So this is real simple here. So if we go to template templates before is the first save I made for this world. And we'll see if I might have not selected the correct option. So let's check it real quick. If that's the case, then I'll show you. It will take me all of 10 seconds to get this world back to where it needs to be. 10 seconds is a little bit of hyperbole, but... Oh shit, this one doesn't have custom menu. Yeah, this one doesn't have custom menu on it yet. I gotta go to the next one because it has custom menu. Because I may have deleted something by accident, but I want to check it. Yep, I don't have custom menu on here. Let's see if they're posted. Right, I don't see them yet. One thing I do notice is if you wait, sometimes they'll pop up. You'll see the symbols, so I wonder if that's them spawning into the world. Because it's pretty normal for a game to cull things that are further away. So if, say, for example, you're not near this, it should make everything disappear. The problem is making it come back. So right now, I don't have it on this one. Let me check another save. I may have forgot to select the option, so it very well could be on me. Where I had a post that one of the grumpy people in the community, I was being passive-aggressive in it. It's kind of my new strategy with some of these people who blame the game for everything. Again, if you can't figure something out or if you did something wrong, they'll say, oh, the devs did this, and it's like... And, you know, likely this is me clicking the wrong selection. If it is a problem and it's not something I did, then, yeah, you can blame the game on it, but we don't know that yet. So this is the first save after I added the custom menu. Let's see if these are in here. Let me do this. Let's teleport around and see if the fuel's there. If it's not, it's likely I didn't select the selection correctly. Yeah, so I probably didn't do the selection correctly. Let's go here. I probably just didn't put the option. Let's see if I can import the option. I might be able to do that. Alright, they're there at the base. That's fine. There should be a sell point here. So let's go around. We'll diagnose this problem and see if we can figure it out. But they shouldn't... Okay, good. So the crane's missing here, so that's fine. So let's do this. Let's open up my custom game. And I want to see what the file name is for them. Let's see if I can import them. If I can't import them, especially this early in the career, the only thing that's really different is my money, right? And that takes you like all of 20 seconds to fix on your save file. So I literally do this probably, I don't know, a couple times, 3-4 times during a career build series where I just start my world over. And the only thing that takes any time is drilling a new oil well. So, all right, this is my custom game. Let's see. Okay, so they're here on the custom game. Alright, so likely, let's go, we can actually diagnose this now. Alright, so this here is... 6325 is my custom game, so this is a custom game. So we want to look at active playlists, mission zones, building, cargo, zones, delivery, dock, bollard, fish survey, forest fire missions, landmarks, oil survey, railroad signals, resource storage, resource trading. And then let's take, can I make these separate? I don't think so. So that's that one, and that's this one. Path AI, mission zones, building. That's backup. Template backup. Paths AI, mission zones, building, cargo creatures, mission zones, delivery. Bollards, fish survey, forest fire mission, landmark mission locations. Transport locations, zone Arctic, arid, main, underwater, oil survey, railroad storage. Okay, it's not that. Game mode settings, creative menu, true. Clear flow, true. Respawning, false. Infinite money, true. Creative menu, true. Base island, data tiles. I wonder if that is part of the problem. Dev go to, clean up, clear flow, override weather, true. Override time, true. Curious if this is part of the problem. Let's see this. Alright, so this is what I highly recommend you do. I'm not going to show my screen right now, I'm just so you don't see my folders. But make a copy. All right. So what we'll do here is I'll do this in a second. Let's see. I'll just do one of them. Let me here quickly do this. So we have CBS 2025 is the most recent save. Let's play with this backup, CBS 2025 backup. So let me load that one. CBS 6, where is it? 14. CBS 2025 backup. I'm going to copy that. Always do this. People don't do this, and I think they're nuts for not doing it. Make a copy, paste the copy. It will now say CBS 2025 backup dash copy. All right. Now we're going to click on the backup, and I'm going to open that scene. All right, so now we've got that up. Let me bring display cap back on. All right, so let's see. We have, okay, so that one now has, okay, that's fine. Base island, data tile, island X, that one's good. This one is that, so that's fine. Click true. Alright, game settings, player position there, day length, creative menu true, base island, data tiles arid, clip no true, go to dev true, clear flow true, currency weather. Alright, let's go to this, let's reload the world and see if they come in. So we'll do the backup, seeing I was playing with that. But literally this is the first time I've ever had them disappear on me. And I don't think they disappeared on me because they never came in the first place. So, it could be a selection that I didn't do because I went through in the beginning. I could actually I could look at the recording over again and see if I actually made their correct selection or not. But I gotta go to bed soon here, so we'll test this for a quick second and then we'll move on, and I'll finish up. But let's quickly go to the bed. Let's sleep for a minute. See if I can get those to pop in or not. Because people have been saying the game's been doing this for a long time. Like, literally in 7,000 hours, this is the first time I've ever noticed this. And it may very well be a setting I did. It could be a game thing. I don't know, but... Can never find that teleport one there. Alright, so they're not there. So let's do this real quick. So let's go ahead and we will go to the main menu. And I'm going to recheck all my options. No, it's fine. This is actually good to see. I'm kind of glad to do it. So real quick, let's show you how quickly... If you've done this a few times, how quickly it is to fix a career save. Career. Beginner base. Enable add-ons. All off. AI paths. Default AI aircraft. Default AI. Building missions. Cargo missions. Creatures. Delivery zones. Dock bollards. I don't ever do elevators. That's just personal preference because they could glitch and then you get lag and then you say, boo, game lag. I don't need it. Fish survey. Forest fire missions. Default landmarks. Default mission locations, natural disasters, bye-bye, oil, see you later, display timers and reward. I like doing that. I forgot to do that actually last time. So if you forget some of that stuff, you can go back and fix it too. Default transport missions, yeah, let's do it. Arctic, arid, Maine, no moon, underwater, sure. Natural disasters, never in a million years do I do it. Oil survey, railroad signals. Resource storage, resource trading, Sawyer mission zone, no tutorial, no weapons AI, no event zombies because I'm not 12. That's good. All right. Back. All of that's good. I'm not enabling any mods. All right, good. Start. One thing I have long suspected this could be is at 90%, it's my belief that that's when the vehicles, quote unquote, are being spawned into the game. So think vehicles as anything like a fuel pump. I don't think some of the sceneries, they're on their own files, But I think anything like an oil rig that you might have there, any of the vehicles, the hospital ship, things like that are spawning in. Any vehicles you may have in the world. So some people talk about, oh my god, it takes me forever to go from 90 to 100%. And I think it's, you see how quick it was on mine. I think oftentimes what happens is that's when the vehicles, quote unquote, are being spawned in. And if there's an error there, things like the pumps may not spawn in. So if your computer doesn't send that information or doesn't record it properly, it could be that. Okay, so there they are. So it very well could have been an option that I forgot to click when I set up my world. I'll actually go back at some point when I'm bored and watch the video and see if I missed an option. So this is what they should look like. You notice they're all in here, okay? Oil gantry. So this is the other thing. People don't read. And you get this, you'll notice this, Nathan, you'll see people say this on Reddit and everywhere else. They go, oh my god, I went all that distance and it's a sell, not a buy. Oh my god, they should have said something. Oh my god. Right here. Green, sell. It says it right there. Oil gantry, sell here. You're selling oil here. Diesel gantry, you buy diesel here for $2. Jet fuel gantry, you buy jet fuel here for $4, okay? Jet fuel gantry, sell here, jet fuel gantry, sell jet fuel here for $6, okay? So the greens are where you sell, the blacks are where you buy. So you'll see people go here and they'll be like, oh my god, I went to the diesel gantry and it wouldn't give me any diesel. And they don't bother reading that says sell here for $3. So make sure you're reading, please. But that's the main place. This island, it moves based on your seed. So based on your seed, it could be real close, it could be real far away. So the places where you would generally buy for here is, and I kind of like this. This is something that keeps me interested in the game is I want a challenge. I want some progression. And so one of the points of progression is this property is $60,000. All right, so in today's episode, we did 2 missions. After doing 2 missions, we have $54,000, okay? We only used 500 liters of fuel. That means we could do, and that was 2 missions. So we could do maybe up to 15, 20 missions of this distance before we need to even consider getting more fuel. If at that point we need more fuel, we putter our boat down here and we can fill up here for free and we can take the 5,100 out of this base for free, okay? But we could do that. Now, I talked earlier about how you want to come up with short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So the short-term goal, what was it? Do a mission. Okay, then it was work on our boat a little bit more so we can do another mission. We did 2 missions, okay? That was our main goals. Our next goals are going to be, hey, we need to start thinking about fuel. We could steal some from here, but you know what I'd like to do better? I would like to get a base where I can launch land vehicles, okay? So let's go ahead and save this real quick. This one has all we need. So let me show you how quickly it is to fix your save if your save gets screwed up, okay? So let's save this. CBS 25 take 2, and it's 614 underscore 1425. Okay, good. So that's my save. And now I'm going to put template. This is my template, okay? That's saved. All right. Now let's go ahead and just check it real quick. Let's load it and make sure the fuel's still there. It should be. Why don't I activate the elevators? I think the elevators, I literally have never once used the elevators, and I think there's a reasonable chance they get glitched and cause lag. Because it's loading in something complicated that I don't need. I'm never going to use one of the elevators. And there's a chance that it could lag out and cause problems with my game, so I say, why bother? You know, it doesn't interest me. I don't use them, so why bother? Okay. Let's see if these pop into existence here. This is interesting if it happens right off the bat here. Let's see if it happens. They're not popping up yet. This would be interesting if this is the first time it's happened to me, too. Let's go down there and see what's up. There it is. They're spawning in now. You can see them spawning in. Alright, so let's go down there and see what they look like. I gotta sit. Oh, I haven't done that yet. Alright, so let's go ahead. I gotta put in the no-clip menu anyway. So here's one here. You got a diesel cell gantry there. They're populating. Just takes a second sometimes for them to show up on the map. That's fine. Alright, so let's do this. Let's show you how quickly this takes to get this done. Alright, so I'll just quickly take off display cap so I can not show all my folders. Alright, so the one I just made was CBS 25 Take 2 template. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of that. And we'll paste it. Alright, and I'm going to rename it. And it's going to be CBS 25 Take 2 template. It's going to be CBS 25 Take 2. That's it. So I'm just renaming it that. Alright. There it is right there. Alright, I'm going to open the scene file. And now I'll turn on display cap. Alright, here it is. Alright. So we're going to go to the custom game. So find it. Custom 6325. I'm going to go here to creative menu true. I'm going to copy that. And it goes into game mode settings. I'm going to go over here. And under game mode settings, I'm going to put that in. I'll just put it right here. Alright, we'll save that. Alright, we'll load it up. So here it is right there. Alright, let's check it real quick. Give it a sec for these to populate. Because I have noticed before that, you know, you look right off the bat and they don't show up. Let's actually do this real quick. Do custom menu, teleport. I want to teleport over there before they show on the map. I want to see if they actually pop into existence. Or if they're just showing in the map later. Alright, so they're here. So it was likely something I didn't click when I set up my world. And maybe it gets corrupted and gets deleted for some people, but here they are. And you notice now they're up on the map. So they might just not pop into existence. Like right here, this one's not showing. Let's see if it's there, and let's see if it pops into existence when I get there. Yep, there it is. And it popped up. Okay, good. So this has been my hypothesis for a while, is that that these they pop into existence when you get close to them for obvious reasons. You know, the world doesn't need to show every item to you all times. And then sometimes the game's not saving it correctly, maybe because your RAM's not great, because it's saving it as random access quickly. So here's the diesel. Let's see if it pops into existence. Yes. So this is what it's supposed to do, is as you get close to them, they're supposed to come into existence so that when you pop away, they cull. So, like, for example, you know, I'm no programmer or anything. Let's put that clear. Like this right here, this JSI dock is likely not showing in the world until I get there. All right, notice Fish Market just popped into existence? That's a vehicle, okay? The vehicle popped into existence. All right. Let's see if I can... So let's look real quick and let's teleport there. So see how it's saving? Okay, see all those just popped into existence? They just dropped. That just popped into existence. If your game had to like keep track of every one of these things at all times, no matter where you were in the map. That's why people say, oh my god, multiplayer is so laggy, right? Because you've got a player in multiplayer here. You've got a player in multiplayer here. You got a player in multiplayer here. You got a player in multiplayer here. You got a player in multiplayer here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And none of the map can disappear. So right now, because I'm solo, right, I am here. None of this is populated in the world. None of this is showing, all right? Now, when I teleport here, let me see if I can find something. The containers are all here. The containers should probably pop into existence when I get there. So watch the world saving. All right, the containers are all in now. Notice the world saves, right, every time it does that. So what my hypothesis is why people have problems where their pumps disappear is I would blame it likely on their computer because I have a good computer and literally have never had that problem. And I think, you know, after we just did that test, it looks like I probably just didn't select it on. Or it's the first time it's happened, but they'll come into their game and their pumps aren't here. And what I'm thinking is happening is they teleport or they no-clip or something, and their computer does the save, but the vehicle hasn't popped into existence yet, and then they exit the game or something, and the game has not saved the position of where the vehicle is, if that makes sense. So like if we teleport here, so notice the game's saving, right? And now you notice, see how that's moving? That's because it just popped into existence. Okay? Likely. Alright, and so if your computer's super slow, I think what it's doing is it's not saving the position of the thing, and then you leave the game, and the game didn't save the position of the thing, and so when it goes to load it in, it doesn't know where to put it, and it just says, oh, I don't know where to put it, don't put it anywhere. And I think that's what's going on. But again, I'm no programmer, what do I know? But okay, so we've got our new world up here, right? The world is good. The only thing we're missing now, right, is our money. So this is where a lot of people get frustrated, and I think, like, you got to chill out, man. All right, be a little bit cool, because it's not a big deal. So our last world, so let's save this real quick. That's fine. All right, let's go ahead and let's find exactly how many dollary dues we had. All right, so we were, where was it? This one. Nope. This one. This was the most recent one. Let's load this in. Chill out, Bodos. Dude, I'm going to do what I want to do. If you're not interested, you can see you later. I do this for my own enjoyment, dude. I don't need your input like that. That's really not welcome. And I do this for my own enjoyment. I don't make any sort of reasonable money off this to be doing it for any other reason than for my own enjoyment. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. Alright, so we're here. Let's check the money situation. So we have 54,185. So all you have to do is go in. So it says it's been modified by another program. Do you want to reload it? Yes. Alright. And then we want to go to the money. And currently it's 19,870. So we need to make it 54,185. 54,185. So right there, currency, 54,185. We'll save it. Yeah, I have no patience for anyone who's like that, who's like, just do this, just do... I am doing this because I enjoy it. At no point am I gonna, like, I'm not a dancing monkey. I'm not doing what you want. If you don't like it, see you later, man. Alright, we're back in. So this is the new save. We've got 54,185. Alright. Let's double check, make sure all these pop in. Yep, they're all here. Alright, so the save is good. That's all good. We're happy. So this save is good. We got our money back. Now, I've talked before, but like if you have to redo a save, because say the devs come out with a new thing, or they fix a problem on the map, you have to do a new save. They come out with a new update, you need a new save. It's really not a big deal. The only thing it takes any time is re-drilling your oil rigs. And literally what I do is I teleport over there, I put in my oil rig, I drill it. It takes me probably, I don't know, 10 minutes to drill. I put on the pump, I set the pump going, and then if I want, if I had a ton of oil in there, I just go AFK, do something else, let it pump. If you have other places you need to buy, it's really simple. You go to the custom menu, you go to, where is it? Infinite resources. I never find it. Infinite resources. Now everything's free. You don't spend any money. So if you don't spend any money, so you could come here and you could buy this place right here. So if you had already bought that base, you just teleport there and buy it. So I think I did it one time on stream. It took me, I think, 15 minutes most to get my save exactly where it was before. And I drilled the hole. As the hole was drilling, I went around, did all the bases, came back, started pumping, and then I was back to normal in 15 minutes. So, like, I get some people, like, they've got vehicles all over town, and that's frustrating, but it's like, it's also sometimes, the little hiccup's not a big deal either. But, yeah. Alright, I think we'll finish it up there. Let's check, see if we got anything good. Alright, Xhorus, let's see. Do a map reveal. Yeah, that's something interesting. I wonder if that works. They're already showing now, so I can't really do that. But, alright, so we got the save fixed anyways. We got all those gantries back. I've never had that happen to me, like some people are having. But it very well could be. I could go through the files, and we could see what is missing between this one and, where is it? This one? No, this one. We could see this is the one that didn't have the right file. This is the one that has the right file. I could meticulously go through this and see what the difference is. I see one popping up, but I could meticulously go through it, but I don't give a shit enough to do it. Game data. Could be that game data there is missing. Yeah, I'm not sure what's missing there. I can see something's different. But it could be somewhere down in here. But, again, it takes me 2 seconds to fix the world, so not a big deal. But, alright, guys, I think we'll finish up there. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you're new and you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next one.